What's good, YouTube? It's your boy vexyz, the lurking legend, but y'all can just call me Vex. I'm head cook and host here at the Last Ark, and today we are joined by a wonderful guest, close friend to the channel, somebody who has had crazy success this past year. We've had him on for the Stream of Liberation and had a ton of fun, cooked with hours for him. We love talking about the live action and the TCG, and today we'll be talking a little bit about chapter 1107 with Desnus the Dwarf. How are you doing today?
Hey, what's up, lovely people, fellow pirates? Yeah, I'm doing live action stuff. Check out my channel if you love the live action like me. And yeah, I think we're talking about season 2 today because there's plenty to talk about. I'm still in a train, obviously, if you heard that, German trains and stuff. I'm on my way to Enis lobby right now, so yeah.
Let's go. Yeah, no sweat. We're just happy that you joined us, and we cannot wait to get into some season 2 spice as well as talking about the most recent chapter. And then we're also joined with the Frontline Combatant of the Last Ark himself. We have NoChillDill or ChillDill or just Dill. I don't know which one you are today. How are you today, brother?
I'm just Dill today, but I do have one very important message. Desnus, shoot down flag.
Oh my goodness, we need to get the Tontara avatar with the Sniper King mask on. That'd be perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, we love to hear that
on my way
from you, Dill.
To Enis lobby. I can make a shot when I'm there. Yeah.
Nice.
Shooting a flag down.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you're doing fine, Detective Dill. And then lastly, but definitely not leastly, we are joined by the historian of the Last Ark himself. We have Kube of the Red Sea. How you doing today, brother?
Hey man, I'm excited. Honestly, Desnus, a really good friend. You know, we're also on Dark Records together, so it's gonna be a great stream. You know, it's after this crazy One Piece week. I'm happy to stream.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy as well. I want to shout out to some of the crew and the wonderful goats that we have in the chat really quick. We've got 3-Day Trip, the Navigator of the Last Ark. What's up, 3-Day? We love you. We've also got Straw Hat Lucas, the captain of the Last Ark. We have SSJ8 Cody in the chat. That's our special grade sorcerer. Shout out to Angel. Shout out to JJ, John Sherrod on all social media. Shout out to the Will of Dreams. We love you, early birds. Thank you so much. Make sure you like the stream. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get into it. Did you guys want to start with live action season 2 talk or get right into the chapter?
Yeah, and greetings to Cody, to 3-Day Trip, to Angel's Room, John Sherrod, the Will of Dreams in the chat.
Yeah, so
okay, 1107.
Let's
Give me
go.
the spice cube. What are your takes?
honestly, with the last chapter, like I said, you know, we've heard me all. I'm happy that TLA could get that double of the whole Catty One twist with Saturn. It didn't go the end game goal I thought, but yeah. But what I'm really interested, honestly, with this chapter is, well, first of all, I'm curious about Blackbeard, but I want to see how fast, you know how after Wano, the world changed so fast. I'm wondering what's gonna happen after Egghead. Like, it's really like ramping up in terms of, you know, consequences.
Yeah.
So that's like my thought. Like, what was your thought, Des? You know, and also anyone else here as well. You know, when you after reading the chapter with everything we got.
Yeah, I really like this chapter with the flipped eyebrow of Sanji, with touching from Katarina Devon. I think she didn't ask for consent, but okay. And also, I heard a really nice theory that maybe Katarina Devon and the portal guy gave Luffy the food, and Katarina even touched Luffy. That would be crazy.
Whoa. That's something I didn't even really consider.
Because then in Fishman Island, when we saw the foreshadowing of Luffy destroying Fishman Island, it could be Katarina Devon as Luffy.
Oh wow, I've heard a lot of theories that it could be like like destroy in a looser sense of the word, and that it could be like a liberation, like a, you know, like they don't have to live underneath the, and they can live in the sun finally. But that's another theory that I haven't even thought of, so that's crazy. I like that actually,
because they now have the scumbag with them, and he knows where the ancient weapon is essentially. Hello, Lucas in the chat, and John Sherrod. No, John Sherrod was there before. Yeah, would be cool. How is that? I always get the names wrong. How is the slime guy called again? Sorry.
Treble?
No, I mean the who wants to join the Blackbeard Pirates in the
Caribou. Yeah,
Caribou.
okay.
Yeah.
The swamp dude.
And he knows. Yeah, and he knows where the ancient weapon is essentially with Shirahoshi. So
Well, he knows about
Pluton and Wano.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest swinger there. Like as far as like I don't know if that's like something so interesting, because like we did bingo cards in our Discord server, link in the description if you guys wanted to join. And we like one of my things on my bingo card was literally Caribou does nothing. So I believe for the whole year of 2024, Caribou does nothing. So it looks like I'm already going to get this one wrong, but I don't know. We still don't have confirmation of anything. He could get shot down here, but that is some huge information potentially. It's really crazy. I'm glad you brought up a lot of the big points, like as far as Caribou, Katarina Devon, and Van Augur, as far as what was going on with Luffy and Kizaru and Sanji. And you know, we could definitely cook on Stella a bit, but I'm just happy that my boy Cincinnati got an actual name drop. We can stop calling him that and start respecting the Red King himself, Vice Admiral Red King. That was a crazy, and nobody's really talking about it, but that was like, it's cool that we get like more from like these, because we got Bluegrass, Red King. Are all of these Vice Admirals going to have a color scheme similar to the Admirals? Maybe, like, I don't know. It's interesting as well. This was a crazy chapter. There's so much to unpack, you know.
Yeah, crazy chapter.
Something that I didn't notice until Desnes brought it up. I didn't notice that Sanji's eyebrow flipped.
Yeah, everybody was talking about it.
I noticed immediately, because now I'm really conscious about Sanji's eyebrow every time I see it.
I also didn't notice, but when I was in a couple of the reactions on Thursday, that like everybody was talking about it. I was like, oh, would you look at that? It totally did.
Also, if I can add stuff, a theory of mine really was confirmed for me with this chapter, because one of my theories is that devil fruits are, because we got said that Luffy's devil fruit is capable of doing everything that he wants to as he fancies, like they said. But I really think this is the rule for every devil fruit, and they just don't tell the people, so they would be not open-minded and try to do anything. But Luffy is especially the one who tries everything, so he made it first happen essentially, because we saw in other devil fruits that they are capable of doing everything that they think they can do. For example, these dinosaurs that can do things that dinosaurs don't really can do, for example. And the best example in this chapter was Sanji blocking light because he thought he can, and then even Kizaru pointed it out that that isn't really a thing that somebody can do, and then he says, yeah, it's like love can do this, and they really write it off as a joke again, but I think it has more meaning, and many people think that Sanji is connected with devil fruit, so that would connect back to the devil fruits itself, I guess.
I think that specifically it's like, oh, go ahead, Cube.
And I was just gonna say, like, the one thing I was gonna add on it is, you know, Kizaru being shocked at Luffy. I'm wondering if we're getting the same scene of Zoro with Kaido, where Kaido was shocked for a second, and then he looked at him and says, "Do you have the Supreme King Haki, or do you have Conquerors?" And I feel like we're kind of learning how certain people like just manifested based off certain emotions at certain instance. Because I think we're seeing the first hint for Sanji.
I don't think it has to be Conquerors, but I definitely think that it wasn't necessarily love. It was just hockey that did deflect the laser. And he just said, because it's very on brand for Sanji to say that it's love and things like that. But like, I think that specifically it's just hockey, although he could have ties to Devil Fruit, like lineage factor or something like that. I'm definitely not discrediting that. I just think that that was pretty much what we saw there. And that like, we know that hockey can interact with Devil Fruit abilities as well as can touch Logias when they are like incorporeal, for lack of a better term, like, and things like that. So Kizaru shooting off a light beam, you know, although it is like light and it's not something like that you should be able to interact with, hockey has been seen to interact with those types of things before, and hockey has been shown to counteract Devil Fruit abilities. So I think that that would probably be all that it was. And, you know, like him saying we have to rewrite the physics books is just Kizaru kind of playing along with what like with what Sanji said. But I don't think that Kizaru actually believes that it was the power of love. I'm sure he probably just thinks that it's hockey, you know, like, but it's really interesting that you say that, because I do like that theory. I'm not sure if I fully believe it, because it could literally just be hockey, and we know that he has hockey. We don't know that he has Conquerors or even advanced usage on armament, but I think that this could be like the first showings, like maybe the training wheels of advanced armament, or even potentially Conquerors coding, which I would love if we did get soon confirmed Sanji's Conquerors coding. That would be amazing. I think it's gonna happen. I just don't know how soon it's gonna happen.
What I like is ever since Whole Cake, so I thought of, you know, just picking ever since that chapter came out, ever since Whole Cake, we're getting deeper on how emotions affect hockey. So I do like, you know, with Big Mom, we got, you know, what happens when you don't fear Big Mom. Thus, you know, her abilities didn't work on Junpei. And now with the love, so I'm very curious about, you know, the spectrum of emotions with hockey. You know what I mean? How it fuels them.
I think it goes back deeper than that. Like, so as soon as we got hockey confirmed and introduced as a concept, we've been getting little breadcrumbs. Like Otohime had crazy observation hockey, and she was specifically extremely passionate about. There's a few other examples, but I see what you're saying with like Big Mom's like hunger pangs and her trauma with her mama and stuff like that. I could definitely see what you're saying, but I would argue there's breadcrumbs that lead back way further than even Whole Cake, you know.
Oh yeah, I agree. I see. Yeah, you're right. I'm sure if I go deep, it's just the biggest one is with the Big Mom. But you're right. I'm sure if we go back up to, and then interesting enough, what do we get in Fishman Island is where we get the first arc where hockey has already been introduced, and it's also the arc where Joy Boy is introduced as a name drop. So yeah, as well, which is interesting.
But just got out of the train. Timo kommt gut heim. So okay.
Yeah, I love that Sanji also had like the coldest line whenever he's like, I guess you're gonna have to draft an apology letter for them, like, because that was so sick. I love me some like good classic Sanji trash talk, taking me back to like the Mr. Prince era or the Sea Train era, you know, like when he's dealing with like Nero and like Wanzi and all of them. Like, it was so good. Like, it was a very good Sanji chapter, which I know has been controversial with some of the fan base, but I really enjoyed that, you know.
So did you ever heard of the fun fact? Okay, quick. Did you ever heard of the fun fact that Sanji never met the crocodile? Only with the telephone thing.
Oh wow, with the snail, yeah, that's crazy. Oh man.
You want to hear another fun fact? It's interesting, but from the Straw Hats who were with Luffy and Jaya, so before Skypiea, the only one who's never seen a member of the Blackbeard Pirates is Usopp, because he's the only one who stayed with Crooked and Jaya as well. He never saw Jesus versus all the other ones as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, so you talked about one of the coldest moments with Sanji. I'm gonna bring up another cold moment when Saturn asks Katia Devon and Van Ogre, "What is your plan? What are you guys trying to do?" And when they look at him, and Van Ogre just tells him, "The world," and then just before he moves, teleports away. I'm sorry, that was such a cold moment. The way they said "the world," to Gorosei.
Yeah, honestly,
I
that's a
think
great.
when we now know that.
That was one of those things where it's a definitive, you're going to get killed for your answer. And Van Auger looked at him with the utmost confidence and say, yeah, Blackbeard's going for the world. Good luck holding it down from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good
Also, when we
cooking point. If we wanted to like spend a little more time on that, because yeah, it's crazy what all that could entail. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean it should be directly Blackbeard's stream, I guess. So if we reflect that, we could say saving the world or helping the world or free the world could be connected to Luffy's stream in reflection of Blackbeard's. Yeah.
Honestly, with him previously once become a king, I'm really thinking that, you know, being Saturn isn't about power. I'm starting to think that it could be, and I like to, you know, I recently been doing a lot of Star Wars references since Egghead started, and I'll say this: like Palpatine in the storyline, he came into power by election. Like, what if Blackbeard knows how the world government was founded, and he's going after the initial 20 kingdoms in a way? Because it's the same article where he seems to be making his move. It's the same article where he found out that Cobra is dead, and the current ruler, like Vivi, who's supposed to rule over after Cobra, is missing. So there's no ruler. So I'm wondering if it's he's making a play for power through the other kings. You know, he found a loophole to do something that even the Gorosei cannot stop. You know, which would be interesting. You know how when he became a Shishibukai, it was only to get a foothold in Impel Down. So it could be the same thing. You know, he needs Saturn for that. You know, but like I said, it'd be crazy if it's all that it would take for Blackbeard to fuck up the Gorosei is a vote from the other countries.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting as far as like what you can do just under the guise of a Gorosei. A lot of people are speculating that he could, that she could, with his face, control, like the Seraphim and like the pacifistas and things like that. I am not convinced that through facial recognition alone they can do that, because Kube showed us that the authority chip is a specific, like, actual tangible item, like and I don't think just replicating somebody's appearance can kind of accomplish, you know, that same goal, although it could be. I'm not convinced yet. I think that it's definitely not if it were related anything to the pacifistas or the Seraphim, they're on Egghead. Like they would have, I don't know, like my thing is it's definitely, it has to do with something else. I'm not fully convinced it's Marie Joie either. But I think it would be very interesting, because there's a couple different places. Like they could just show up at G1, they could just show up at Impel Down, they could just show up at like Annie's lobby. They could, like, there's a lot of things that could happen. I think that this is integral to a few steps in the plan, and Marie Joie might be the end goal, but I think there's going to be some things that, you know, unfold before they get there, which would be really interesting to see. What do y'all think specifically? Do y'all have any like major theories on like the rest of Blackbeard's plan? If this was just a piece of it, or even what his dream is?
Pieces of it already, with going for different heads and stuff. I think it's purely generating chaos throughout the world. So the Marine gets distressed and can't focus on him. For example, if they free the prisoners in Impel Down, they have another big problem. Or when they, I don't know, when they get to Fishman Island and destroy things there, anywhere that they making trouble will be troublesome for that government, and then if they are distracted, they can go for the head, essentially.
Yeah, I think it could also have something to do with the news outlet, because we know that big news is already fed up with the world government, and it would be interesting if he got a specific directive from what he thought was a Gorosei to publish a news article that would, like, I don't know, because we've seen, like, you know, the world get shook by like whatever's being printed about Egghead in the papers already. Why stop there? When you're on a roll, you're on a roll, you know, like, so it could really be that. And like, that's another individual who has just a ridiculous amount of influence in the world is big news. And I feel like he has to be important in the story very soon. given like the kind of like the narrative framing that we're getting from him. So I think that would be another interesting thing that he could do, or that she could do with Saturn's face. Another thing I had to ask was, do you think that specifically she can, because she can copy his form, do you think that's limited to just him as an old man, or do you think she can also copy the spider thing just as an appearance, maybe not as a power? Like, I don't know if she could heal, or if she could do like the thing where she like paralyzes people, but you know, because she can change her shape, could she appear as the spider version, like the yokai Saturn?
That's a good question. I think that maybe we should look into Bon Clay's power. Did Bon Clay mimics another devil fruit user in their other forms, like
No,
Chopper,
no,
for
he mimicked the
example? I think
physical.
Chopper's
It's
base
only the
form.
physical aspect. Bonker was only
Chopper's
physical
base form is
aspect.
reindeer, right? Without devil fruit. But Chopper's human form is the cute little one that we always get. So if it's his devil fruit form, I think Mr. 2 was it, right? Bon Clay copied Chopper's devil fruit form, so maybe that's more a yay than a nay, but
I just know that that would have been the case. Then whenever Bon Clay copied Luffy's Devil Fruit and Impel Down, he would have started throwing actual gum punches rather than just saying a different name. And
I mean, I see the
No, I'm not
similarities,
stretching,
but I see the similarities between the two devil fruits, but I don't think that that's where we can really draw too much from, because we already see that because the kitsune fruit can like already do clothes, it's already like a cut above the things that we've seen from Bon Clay's fruit. So I mean, we don't know exactly where to draw the line, and with Van Auger saying like I haven't mastered the warp fruit yet, we don't know to what level Katarina Devon has proficiency with this technique either. So she could be really good with it, she could be not so good with it. So I think it's interesting to think about. But I mean, just because we have seen her adapt the physical appearance, and Saturn's physical appearance whenever she touched him was that of his like yokai form, you know what I mean? So maybe she can't do just old man Saturn right now, and she can only do the yokai form. That's just like a possibility, you know? And yeah, also like the Will of Dreams said, one is a mythical, and the other is like a normal paramecia. So one of them is a mythical zone, and those are always like a little bit more special than than paramecias and logias and zoans.
It goes also, it's in deeper, like Bon Clay is shapeshifting, right? The Kitsune is known as to be a master illusionist. Like at the end of the day, illusion and shapeshifting is a tad a bit different. So I do think that there may be some similarities on it, but I think there is also some big semantics on it as well. On those 2 points, it's not like same nature of powers as well. They do imitate someone's appearance, but in different ways as well. So, but it's honestly interesting. Because it's interesting to think about, anyways, for the future.
When did Katarina got her devil fruit? Before Impel Down or after?
We don't have confirmation, so that's so the only confirmed level 6 breakout person that we knew had a devil fruit at that point in time is San Juan Wolf. The others could have, but we know that Burgess got his fruit sometime post time skip. We know that Van Auger got hit, but those are OGs. As far as Pizarro, we are pretty sure he got his more recently. But of the rest of the level 6 breakouts, we have no idea of exactly when. The only one we know has had it for more than 2 years for sure is the big battleship himself, San Juan Wolf.
Yeah. I was about to say the only other one other than those that I could see would be Vasco Shot, just because the stuff he was doing isn't stuff you would see from someone who just picked up their fruit, unless they're like Sabo picking it up after Ace type.
We also just don't know enough about his fruit, really. Like, his fruit's still weird to me. So, but yeah, there's an argument for it. But like I said, the only confirmation we have as far as the level 6 breakout crew as far as who already had a devil fruit, is definitely our boy San Juan Wolf.
Because he showed up to Marineford with his devil fruit active.
Yeah, and like, is he okay? Also, like last time we saw him, he was a head underwater from Garp. So that's like another thing. Is like,
I'd like to bring out someone else. I think what's his name? Doc Q could be one of those people that we're not sure as well. Like, he looked very sick in Alabasta, and now we found out that he has the illness fruit. So I'm always wondering, like, did he pick that up in Dry Island just before Alabasta?
I didn't really feel like going.
I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I didn't really feel like going too far into like all the OG crew members because we really don't know about most of them as well. Because Lafitte had some sort of ability that we're still not aware of way back in the day as well. The only one we know got his fruit very, very, very recently for sure is Van Augur and Stronger. But we don't know how recently even that, but definitely post time skip.
Strongest rocks for real.
I love that theory so much.
Yeah. Is it even possible that everybody talks about Lafitte being Hattori? Is it even possible that Lafitte could be Big News Morgans?
I don't think that's actually possible, just because we've seen, I'm pretty sure, so we didn't know Morgan's back in Ennie's Lobby original, but during the events of like Cypherpull's independent report and other things, like Morgan's was reportedly like doing other things. I'm pretty sure I don't know if there's like a hard debunking of that, but I'm pretty sure no. And the simple fact that he had his devil fruit is confirmed to be the albatross fruit, and albatross are huge. They are enormous birds. They have the largest wingspan of any like flying like avian creature in our world. Obviously, there's like the Saiyan Goa birds and things like that. So in One Piece, there's like much bigger birds, but I think that Lafitte is just, he's a little guy, you know. I don't know if that would be like albatross worthy. He's a little tiny thing, you know.
Yeah, and the thing that bothers me, and Oda is very specific with the numbers and age stuff. Like when he's gonna reveal some twist with a cash like the Bonnie thing, he put approximately, like that was years ago in Sabaudi, he put approximately 24 years old. Raised foreshadowing, and my problem is that he's been very definitive with the age and where they're from for both Big News Morgan and Lafitte. And like I think Big News Morgan is like 10 or 12 years older than Lafitte as well.
Okay.
So because of that, I do feel like they're their own people. But then again, you never know.
Yeah, it was just a mysterious birds category in my head, so.
There's a lot with mysterious birds. Like I remember I was cooking for One Night on VC like a half a year ago about like emu is Morgan's. I'm pretty sure that's been debunked since but this was before like 1086 and stuff like that started to come out. We got like a lot more it was before we saw emu and Morgan's like in the same place in the same time at two different places. But I was cooking on that for a minute and I made so many bird connections, it's crazy. But I think specifically, this is what I hope, is that Lafitte has like a mythical Zoan that's like an angel type, like an actual seraphim or a seraph.
No, a fallen angel, literally, you know, he could be literally, because the way they described him as a sheriff, you know, a sheriff fallen from grace in a way, so it could also be, you know, fallen angel. I like it. Actually, I just had a thought. What happened to the birds, to Miss Friday, Miss Friday Miss Friday and Mr. 13 from Burkworks? I just realized. Just came because we were talking about birds, and it made me think of the vulture.
I only realized this year that he's called Mr. Friday and they have the 13 number, so Friday the 13th.
That's crazy.
Which is so funny to me. Yeah, what happened with them?
I don't even remember.
No, just there was such an important role like for Burkworks, and it just disappeared. Yeah, I don't know. It just came to my mind. I don't know.
They're alive on the wiki. That's what they're listed as.
Okay.
I think they might have been in the cover story where there was like I don't remember what island it was. There was like a festival island, and they were like throwing a party with a lot of the Baroque's Works members that didn't get caught up and put an Impel Down. Because we see like Galdino and Das Bones and Bon Clay in Impel Down. Not all of them went to Impel Down. Some of them just like are chilling, and they had like a big party. I don't remember all of the ones that attended, but I know some of the Baroque's Works just showed up at like a spa island. I think that's literally what it's called, is like Spa Island. And a cover story, and they were just vibing. So maybe they're there.
Yeah, it's Miss Golden Week Operation Meet Baroque Works. Friday and 13th accepted a bribe from the Marines. Is one of the captions underneath this picture.
That's crazy. At least they didn't like be like Django and like switch sides completely. Like I don't know. That's still crazy to me.
They sketched out the people of Baroque Works that weren't captured in Alabastas, so they full on snitched on the Baroque Works crew.
Wild. So they're the reason why we even have S-Hawk with Das Bones as fruit right now, potentially, right?
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. They were sold out for a bowl of Don Burry, which is a rice bowl dish consisting of fish, meat, and vegetables, and other ingredients.
So I just arrived home. I would log in via PC, and then I will be back in like 10 minutes. Okay.
No sweat. We're
Not
cooking right now.
Wondering. I just came home, so yeah, I will log in. Okay.
Nice, but yeah, I also wanted to see if anybody had any thoughts on like, so specifically other things that we saw in this chapter was like Kuma was like non-responsive whatsoever whenever Bonnie and Luffy were having like do we assume that Kuma is okay right now? Same question with Stella. Like, what is going on with those two?
So I'm gonna say Stella, him coming to the realization that if he gets moved he'll die just means that when all of his body like moves and then settles down, that blood is going to be continuing pouring out, so that can be saved with the replaceable organs that they make. So I don't think he's counted out at the moment, especially because Saturn got moved away from where Stella was, so it's only Kizaru there, and I think that Luffy and Sanji can hold Kizaru off long enough for Vegapunk to be able to get moved, get medical aid.
Yeah, and like the thing is also, because I like that you pointed that out, I have to wait until officials before I really have like solidified thoughts on it, because I don't know how the wording will be in the Viz versus what we've seen. But specifically him saying, if I move I'll die, and he intends on standing still and not being moved, does that mean he'll live? And also Bonnie's fruit can revert him to a younger man who could recover from this much easier, and she's right there.
Yeah,
like, so I think that this is extremely open-ended still, and I don't think that that the Stella is completely packed up. He would have said like, I'm a goner, like, but the fact that he said, if I move I'll die, well, then what happens if you stand still? Will you live? So like, that's like still interesting to me, but I want to wait until I read the Viz before I really cook on that. But I agree with what you said on the organoids as well, because like, why else would Atlas bring that up whenever they did? And it's very, very interesting. Kube, do you have any thoughts on the whole situation?
Hey man, listen, I'm keeping an eye out because I really don't have an idea on it. Like, I still believe that none of them are the real Vegapunk, but it's worse, particularly the way he said it. So part of me even wondered if did he mean that because maybe Saturn's thing has poison, and he felt like if he moved, the poison would move even faster. It's like, it's, what I mean, it's the what's called, it's it could be a crackhead, type of a rabbit hole type of thinking. So I'm waiting for the next chapters to be able to really understand what he meant by that, because I still feel like it's just too mysterious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm kind of glad it's left open-ended right now, but Yeah, it's really, really interesting. As far as Kuma though, like this man he hasn't moved at all since the punch, and like things, and like Atlas is just kind of carrying him around like dead weight. Like, do we think our boy is okay?
So, this ties in with my few chapters ago theory that I saw on Twitter and I really liked, is that Kuma has essentially been reverted to a golem, where he's doing everything that relates to a one-track goal, which, in my thought, is Kuma. His final goal is to protect. So anytime she's in danger, he'll reactivate to be able to save her, to be able to support her. And then as soon as that objective is complete, he's back back to being a lifeless golem, just like how they are in lores.
That's kind of crazy, I'm not gonna lie. Like, and I mean, it's interesting because we did just get like Prince Gruse's fruit when we cut away to Hachinosu, which is like, he has like actual lifeless golems. So that is interesting. And like, I could see it. I don't want to see it. But like, I think that like, I thought for sure whenever
it's like a sad wrap up.
Yeah, I thought for sure whenever like Bonnie and Kuma, presumably Kuma, was able to see and recognize it, but I thought for sure whenever Bonnie saw Nika up in the sky that Kuma was about to like have like a burst out moment where he like snapped back into it, and the fact that he didn't was a little worrying for me, I'm not gonna lie. But who knows, you know, it could still happen.
Another random thing that I found on a reread is, well, two things actually. When Luffy's Nika posing in the sky, we can see the doom da doom connotations for the sound of his heartbeat. And another thing that I saw after that was Luffy didn't realize that Vegapunk had gotten fucking slammed.
That's crazy.
Like right after he got stabbed, Luffy's like, "What the heck, Vegapunk?" And he looks down at him, his eyes pop out of his head, and it's right as Bonnie tells him to punch Saturn for him.
I actually thought a little deep on that, and you know, we've gotten the concept of observation killing in volume 4 billion, and like Oda confirmed that like Shanks does had like this kind of nickname and potential ability, and we're still kind of not sure where that all ends up and stuff. Do you think that because Luffy has advanced observation like future sight and things like that, but he wasn't able to perceive that in the moment or even ahead of time? And I know it's because potentially his future sight wasn't active, but still he's shown precognitive abilities even before he was able to like against the like NL and things like that. He was sensing the intent of his blows and dodging without using his brain. Like, I don't know, I feel like Saturn might be able to shut down like other people's like hockeys. Like, is that something that you guys would also maybe believe because Luffy didn't recognize it immediately?
You know what? I like you say that because that's something similar I said about Sabo's attack in at the Reverie. His statement about his fire and how when it hit then Imu, like that same attack, it just canceled, like it was being canceled out, the fire was being undone. So it's interesting you're saying that. The other person I thought of is Imu. It could have been one of the Gorsei as well. But yeah, like what if the Gorsei have this natural ability to reduce, impact? Your how you can interact with other people, like sense even as well.
Yeah,
actually, I never thought of it that way.
It's really crazy to think about that, like maybe they all have like observation killing abilities. Real quick, I got a shout out to Mr. Bushido 56 with a €2 super chat, who said that Caribou will lead Blackbeard crew to Robin. Very interesting. The way that I see it is that they have Pudding, they have no need for Robin, although I could see Cypherpole still wanting like a Robin, and it'd be good to just get her as a narrative device out of the hands of the Straw Hats. But Desnas has stepped out just for a moment. Mr. Bushido, he got delayed on his train, so he is getting from his phone onto his PC. He'll be right back with us. But yeah, so I think that Blackbeard has no need for Robin, as far as like the use that he could get from her. The only reason I could see him taking her away from the them taking her away from the Straw Hats would be just to hinder their progress. But I think he has everything that he needs. The only people that I can see after Robin at this point in time would be Cypherpole, because they've stated that before. But I don't think Blackbeard wants anything to do with Robin specifically because of the pudding thing. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
See, I always said that. I find interesting that they go after pudding when there's a Robin in this world. And then it could be for Doubtful, but it could be for the Sword Art tribe. But who goes after pudding? Aokiji, who's on of all people. So I'm wondering if they could have been talking about going after Robin, someone read Poneglyph, and Aokiji protecting Robin hinted to pudding. As a former admiral, he would have known about, some stuff about how the Yonkos and I think as long as Kuzan is in Blackbeard's crew, I think he will always be distracted not going after Robin because of Kuzan.
Dill, what were you gonna say?
So what I was originally going to bring up is I think that him deciding to go after Robin would either be a very, very last stage part of his plan, because even if you get the person that's able to read the stuff, it's going to be just like what happened with Crocodile. Robin's going to tell them misinformation. It's not going to be what they're looking for. So that would be the point of time where Blackbeard's like, yeah, you're no help. But that's why I think that if it were to come down to it, he would have pudding not even for the third eye ability, because there's no guarantee of if she'll awaken it, what the stipulations are to awaken it. That's the same thing he's doing by having Kube and or Garp. It's a bargaining chip for your opponent.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Big Mom's still alive, I have your daughter. What are you going to do to me?
That is really interesting. Yeah, I didn't even think of it like that, but I also brought it up in a recent stream that we also have to understand the capabilities of pudding even without her third eye, or the fact that she is one of the children of Big Mom, is that her memo no mi is potentially crazy useful in the scheme of things. Mr. Bushido 56 with another €5 super chat said, pudding still feels unreliable. Anyway, I don't think Blackbeard crew will leave yet. Carrot and X Drake are still inside Caribou. Also, Stussy frees York and joins Blackbeard. I don't. We don't have any confirmation of Carrot or X Drake there, but I see your headcanon, brother. As far as Stussy, I'm worried about my girl, but I don't think she's a traitor like other people do. I think that she's actually totally true to Vegapunk, and that can be a tie-in with Sphinx, which we need eventually. And I would really like that is if we got like Miss Bakin, like we need some kind of connection to Miss Bakin other than like Marco, because Marco isn't even connected with us right now. So I think that could be like something that ties them. But as far as pudding still being unreliable, I think she's more swayable than Robin is. As far as like her intention and as far as her abilities, again, like I said, I don't even think she needs her third eye. I think just her devil fruit alone, given the company of somebody who is in the know, like a Gorosei, could be enough.
Yeah. Actually, I like welcome back, Desnis, and I like to go to a point that you brought up about the Kuma, thinking that Kuma would awaken when he hears Zombie Liberation. It's crazy, right? But because of the nostalgia level of Bonnie, what if it's him hearing Bonnie going Nika and making her version of the Love Drums Liberation? Because he used to always sing it with him or with Bonnie. What if it's basically the Drums of Liberation with the love of his daughter? That might, reawaken Kuma if there's still a Kuma inside him. I thought of it afterwards. So, don't know what you guys think about that.
Yeah, Desnis, while you were gone, we were talking a little bit about the Stella and is he cooked? Kuma, is he cooked? And then we started talking a little bit about Blackbeard, like maybe potentially, because Mr. Bushido did a super chat about Blackbeard catching Robin because of Caribou, and how we thought that it would just be because he had pudding, he didn't need her. And as far as another €2 super chat from Mr. Bushido, Big Mom won't care about pudding, Kata would. I disagree. I think that Big Mom would absolutely care about pudding because she knew the importance of her third eye lineage. But go ahead.
Yeah, she'd be the only one of children that Big Mom would actually care about. But yeah,
honestly. But yeah, first we talked about Stella. If you had any thoughts on if he's actually cooked, we'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I don't know where. You mean Stella Vegapunk, of course.
Yes.
I don't think so. I think he has a backup plan because I can't wrap my head around. For me, if he dies, the whole egghead thing will die in my thoughts. And he accepting his death so easily, I think it's really about he has a backup plan. Or this isn't really the Vegapunk anymore. He fully digitalized himself within the egghead or something like that, because he is listed, if I'm right, he's listed as satellite Stella, right?
Yeah, he's a 6th satellite. He's basically the 7th satellite.
Yeah.
The way it's listed, yeah.
I really guess it's just a target that you would hit if you want to destroy Vegapunk, but he isn't actual Vegapunk. He looks like Vegapunk, so if he would be targeted, he would be the one to die. But we learned that all the other satellites can be rebuilt easily. So I guess he has a backup plan for that kind of stuff.
I would hope so. Like, we were bringing up that potentially with the organoids and things like that, if he said, because the way that it's worded, at least in the translations that we've seen, because we haven't got the officials yet, is that he said, if I move, I'll die, and he intends on standing still. So maybe he has a way of doing this where he doesn't die if this is the real Vegapunk, which again, I'm open to the thought that he's not that he's not the actual one, and that he could have fully digitalized himself, like you said. But also the thing is that he mentioned that because of, his age, he's not going to be able to heal from this. There's an aged fruit user right next to him, so I think it wouldn't be too out of the bounds for Bonnie to be able to make him like a man in his prime who could heal from something like this. So I really don't think that there's a reason why he isn't just completely packed up. And though that panel, like last chapter, not this most recent chapter, but the one before that, was ridiculously impactful, I think that, if we actually got like an unaliving scene for Stella, it would be much bigger than what it was. So I definitely think he's not done right now. Like, and
it doesn't have the same impact like characters that really died. Yeah,
exactly. Or even like fake out deaths, since we know that Oda does some of that. Did you have any thoughts on Kuma specifically? And like, what's his situation? Because he's been very inactive. We haven't seen much at all from him. Do you have any thoughts on?
I think No, go ahead. So like with the videos from Arthur, for example, I really think that Kuma is nothing else than a machine with a little bit of his soul anymore, and either the Nika Nika dance got him activated like the giant robot, or the destroying his person side of him that only leaves his body with a little bit of soul in him. I think one of the two is why he still could save Bonnie and stuff, and I think we will get this slowly, like as a reveal that now he's really gone for good in that sense, because we saw all of his life and it concluded to all of this stuff, and his goal is now to left Bonnie in a safe place, in a safe environment, and I think his goal is done. And it's like with these ghost movies that when they get their goal, their soul can go to heaven or something like that. So I guess it's something like that he died from the self-destruction, but his soul wouldn't let off because, you know, Bonnie is out there in the danger. Then his soul got onto his robot body part, and then he moved to Egghead just to save her, and now his mission is done, essentially. That's the consensus I get.
I also, like, a lot of people were thinking whenever the switch for consciousness was introduced, and the fact that that was introduced a couple chapters ago, and then a chapter after that, there's the fact that all of the clones that share Kuma's image have similar programming because of the fact that they need to obey Bonnie. Is like, could he potentially switch into any of the pacifistas or even S-Bear itself? Is an interesting thought. But before we unpack that really quick, Terrible TJ, the little garden himself, with a $2 super chat. What's good, brother? Thank you so much for that. He says, if Bonnie de-aged Vegapunk, would Punk Records revert back? And that is crazy to think about, because yeah, that is an extension of himself. There's like some sort of disconnect, but we aren't really sure of how it happened. Like, is it the op fruit, or is it some sort of technology? And like, we've seen that like there is an inherent connection as well through York and the rest of them because of her ability to eat and go potty and stuff like that for them. And it affects, so like, that is interesting. Would all of the satellites be affected, or would it be Punk Records, or would it just be the Stella if that were to be the case? What do you guys think?
This wouldn't discredit your whole connection point that you were bringing up, but we did see Bonnie already DH Vegapunk, and the other satellites stayed in their form.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is true with with all the jewels, right? And we still don't know what the jewels were all about. Like, but that's interesting.
Baby Vegapunk.
Also, when we talk about Bonnie, I really want to put that out there. It's a theory from Ghost Train, I think, from TikTok. I saw his video.
Shout out.
And I really
we love
like
Ghost Train
so much. His theory was that we know that they always wanted to achieve the Nika fruit, and so it could be that the fruit that Saturn and the others wanted to replicate was the Nika fruit, and as a result of that, the whole Ginny thing happened with Bonnie and stuff. So maybe Bonnie has a remade version of the Nika fruit. That's why we saw her appearing like Nika, very similar and stuff. So it would be crazy, because then we have like a Nika fruit and a little bit of the Nika fruit again. But I could see it that it's a different version of the Nika fruit essentially, and it makes so much sense that they wanted to achieve the fruit, so they wanted to replicate the fruit without it. And also that's the same way around with the Smile fruits, because if they are replication of the Nika fruit, essentially, that would be the same approach, that like a failed version of that would be laughing all the time, but in the wrong way. Yeah.
Think about it. There's another thing that they did that seems to emanate the Nika fruit. And even though it doesn't have the laughing, it has the ability similarities, and it's the Windsmoke kids. One of them has the power to have long limbs. One that could create fire. One of them, even though it's explosion, it's with a punch. You have the one with electricity. It's like, it feels like they tried, but they didn't. You know, like what's the word in English? Hearsay. You know, a lot of legends, and it's a lot of, like Saturn, but also the Windsmoke had heard legends and tried to recreate some of those powers. And I think it could also be the Nika, what he was able to do, being the warrior of liberation.
I really like that, because we've seen that Vegapunk was able to semi-successfully recreate a mythical Zoan already. And we can assume, although a lot of people assume to the contrary, that Saturn he's the warrior god of science. So we can assume that he might be near, at, or potentially above the level of Vegapunk. He just has too many things that need to get done. So having Vegapunk is useful, or just Vegapunk's devil fruit puts him a little bit above where Saturn could humanly be. But I don't know. I'm not necessarily wanting to bring that point up right now, because I do have a super chat I'm going to get to. But it's interesting to assume that Vegapunk and Saturn could have potentially been working on the same thing, in recreating a mythical Zoan, like we saw with Kaido's fruit, with Momonosuke's fruit, the artificial Seiryu that's pink, actually. I do also want to say that Mr. Bushido 56 with the €5 super chat says, I still see this ending badly for the Straw Hats. Kizaru, Lucci, and Saturn cannot fail this mission, but they absolutely can't go home empty-handed. They need a W each. I don't know if each of them need a W. I think that after like the way that this has kind of shaped out for them, with Bonnie being able to control all of the pacifistas, with the giant pirates showing up, with Nika being in full effect, with Blackbeard interfering, them simply surviving is a W at this point. I don't know if they really need anything to take away from this, but it's interesting that you do. Did you guys have any thoughts on, like, as far as like if Saturn, Kizaru, and Lucci, like how these encounters are gonna wrap up? I know a lot of people in the fan base have been talking about Lucci versus Zoro. Do y'all have any feelings on that encounter specifically?
I'll say this before the others jump in, and it's very easy. With all the stuff happening right now, Lucci being alive after this arc is a W for him, because I think it's way too much, and obviously I'm gonna give it up for Lucci to surviving this long to Zoro's versus Enma, obviously. I was not expecting him to last this long, or at least be a form of a challenge. Don't know for the others.
Yeah, I think it was a Sanji won in that case, I guess, with this chapter. But I think, like my brother always says, the Zoro references. Most of the Zoro chapters end with a 1 and stuff, so I really think we get in chapter 1111 the Zoro fight, big Zoro fight, and they're just holding off these few chapters until it. And if not, Kizaru, I'm not sure what I should think about Kizaru. I know people that are very confident with him and him turning the sides, but I think he still waits for the opportunity to do so. If Vegapunk didn't die yet, I would have said that he kills Vegapunk, and that's his duty for the government, and then later we will find out that he spared him and they just made the show of killing him, so he can be clean with his order, and Vegapunk also is out of the side in that case. But right now I don't really know what will happen with Kizaru. It's very crazy. I don't know.
I think with Kizaru specifically, because I've been on the agenda that I think that he betrays. I don't think that necessarily means he has to switch sides, which a lot of people are thinking. I was hearing in somebody's reaction, I think it was the Chibi Girls, that somebody had said in the chat, like, that there's no way he's just going to be like, I'm a Straw Hat now. I don't believe that he will ever switch sides, but a betrayal does not entail switching sides. What I put on my bingo card specifically is I think that it will be a self-sacrifice. I think that at the point where he understands that his life is about to end, he will choose to make the right decision in his final moment, because he won't have to live with the consequences after that. He won't have to like be in constant fear of what if Imu do this, or if the Gorosei do this, or like how will the world government or the world even view me. I think he will be like, okay, well, in my final moments, this is how I choose to act. And then he won't have to worry about any of the consequences of it, and he will choose to go with what lets him be less guilty, because we've seen him full of remorse in parts of this chapter. I'm sorry, parts of this arc and things like that. And so I think that he does betray, but I don't think that means he has to switch sides. I just think that means that he self-sacrifices. And so that's where I'm at with it as far as Kizaru. And he has
makes
like
a lot of sense.
Yeah, he has like gone through a ton this arc. He's fought Gear 5, like Luffy. before getting to this point with Sanji. So no, I don't think that this scales Sanji at admiral level, although I'm not a power scaler, I never will be. But like the thing is that Kizaru has gone through so much this chapter already and fought Gear 5 Luffy to exhaustion before even getting to this point. So Sanji being able to like defend against him, that doesn't necessarily, like, it's not like, oh, Sanji can take Kizaru in a 1v1. Like, Kizaru's been through the ringer. He's been slapped around already and things like that. So this is an interesting thing. It's just like people who do want to power scale for Sanji and Zoro, this was kind of a chapter where it's easy for certain fans to get pretty toxic, because there is like the not so friendly rivalry on like Twitter and things like that I've been hearing a lot about. I thankfully do not have a Twitter, but like I've been hearing a lot about how people are trash talking Zoro and gassing up Sanji and things, and I'm just like, yo, like let's not like really take things out of context. Like we have to really understand the full series of events that have taken place for us to get to here. And as far as Lucci versus Zoro, Zoro has a code he fights by, and we saw that, you know, very recently with Zoro versus King. And King was like somebody who fought dirty and somebody who, you know, like wasn't fighting like a swordsman would fight. He was just a person who used swords. Zoro is a swordsman and he believes in the way of Bushido and things like that. He has a code that he lives and fights and dies by. And so I think it makes sense that, you know, he's fighting with honor right now. And that Lucci is somebody who we've seen does not care and is very cutthroat and would fight dirty. And so we have to understand that handicap as well, as far as what Zoro is going through right now.
Yeah, and also I like to bring it up. This also proves that most likely Zoro has a master Enma. Don't forget, Enma does take energy, and I think he's not releasing enough energy for Enma to be feeding itself, and also to damage Rob Lucci. Like I think it's mostly is going to Enma, and so the attack against Rob Lucci is much smaller as well. The way he's panting and sweat, and breathing hard, Zoro. It does seem that he's out of breath.
Yeah, I think that he also just doesn't want to go all out right now because he knows this is not the biggest fish on the island for him to fight. He's like, yo, this is literally just like an appetizer and I can't, expend my, hockey reservoirs all right now. I'm not going to, he is a smarter fighter than Luffy in that sense, that he knows that like there's other threats. There's an Admiral and a Gorosei here right now. I can't, completely play my entire hand against Lucci,
True.
So I think it totally makes sense without taking anything away from Zoro's power level. Go ahead, sorry.
And in the case of telling the story right now, we focused on the thing with Vegapunk gets stabbed and then the Giants appear and stuff. Maybe him already being finished with the fight would be kind of like a disappointment for fans as well in that case. So maybe it just got delayed because he wants to show it on hand what the how the fight turns out or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. I completely trust Oda with what he's got going on right now, and if it's something because of the narrative, I'm here for it. But there's other ways that I can see it making sense as well without it making Zoro weaker. Like this was not an L chapter for Zoro the way that I see it. I think it was a W chapter for Lucci, but I don't think that instantly makes it an L chapter for Zoro because I've been seeing some very toxic takes about that,
Yeah, I mean, they take every little detail and take it as a proof for power scaling and stuff. So haters will hate.
Yeah, it's like
potato or something like that.
I love that. Yeah. But yeah, there's like little inconsistencies and people will call Oda out on that. But at the same time, they will use those inconsistencies to their advantage whenever it's convenient and discredit them to other people's, disadvantage when it's convenient. And I'm just like, you can't do that. You really have to like understand that everything's more open-ended than that. So I think that this is going to be interesting. I can't wait to see how the Sanji, Luffy, Kizaru situation unfolds, what's going on with Saturn, because I like what 3 Day said specifically, that he told everyone to get out except for the Logia, because he could be potentially about to drop some like Ursa shock level island devastation. Like, we haven't seen him pull like nearly anything out of his bag. Like, he blew up a dude's head.
What I was gonna say.
Yeah, and then he's like healed and things like that, but we haven't seen him really pull anything out of his bag. I think this dude's about to pop off. Like, honestly, go ahead and cook, Dill. Let's hear it.
So that's what I was gonna say earlier. Whenever you were like, "What does this mean for all of the people that are left on the island?" My thought is as soon as Saturn deems this mission of destroying Egghead an absolute loss, he's going to press the full fucking reset button. It doesn't matter who's on the island at that point. Saturn is dropping it. Saturn's gonna hey, yeah, go ahead and send the mother flame. Yep, it's a loss.
You know what? I would go in person that the last time we've had someone do that, the powerful person is Whitebeard. And what we know about Whitebeard, Davis in Marineford, he doesn't have a power that works well with other people. Like, what if Saturn's like a bag of tricks is like Gura level of impact? You know what I mean? Like,
I would love
holding
it.
that much back.
Yeah, I would love to see it.
Then as soon as he deems it to be an ultimate loss and that his safety is more important than satisfying this mission, he's just gonna use a fucking, like Vex was saying, an Ursa shock level attack to just level the whole building, whereas the only person that would be able to survive that at that point is Luffy rubberizing everything.
Yeah.
Well, remind me there were, I think, 3 objectives, right? As far as what the government had, like, initially it was Cypher Pole, and then more of the, like, the Vice Admiral and the Gorosei showed up and things like that. But the original objectives was 1, eliminate Vegapunk, which seems to be, at least, you know, as far as Saturn is concerned, that's done. Although I don't believe it to be done, but I think that they think that that's done. So that's 1 W already for the world government side of things. The next objective was to retrieve the power source for the Mother Flame. So I don't think he's going to go island level of devastation until they have got that objective either completely done or they understand that it is impossible now. But I see what you're saying. But there was there another?
That's what I'm saying. Is
was there another objective?
Wasn't it stopping the spread of the information from the O'Haran studies?
I think that figuring out what was up with the Cypher Pole agents, maybe. I don't know. I have to look into it. But if anybody on the call or in the chat remembers, please let us know. I just remember 2 of the objectives: eliminate Vegapunk and retrieve the power source for the Mother Flame.
Was that when the Marines were all pulling up?
It was before we got that. I think Kaku, Lucci, and Stussy were talking about their objectives before we ever got like the info that the Blackbeard or the Vice Admirals. Yeah, they mentioned the 3 objectives at the beginning of this arc. So like, I don't remember right now. I think it was
2 objectives, but 1 is separated into 2. I think it was just from memories. I think it was to get, so basically they said do not destroy the lab. You have to pick up something. Later on we found out it's the fusion reactor, the power source for the Mother Flame. Then it was saying about going after Vegapunk because, and then Kako made a statement about him being too chatty. And later on we found out that they learned about what York said. So it does seem that it's to kill Vegapunk, but also to destroy any leak concerning that, if I remember correctly. It was just divided into 2 points. Yeah.
So Lucci summarized it, said, in short, our assignment is to return this problem child, being S-Bear, back to Egghead. Then, while taking care not to damage any of the lab's precious assets, being the Mother Flame source, eliminate every last Vegapunk.
Including York, I would assume.
Yes.
So yeah, they never intended on York becoming a celestial dragon.
All of them.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. Like, but yeah, so I mean, I think that they assume that the Stella is dealt with, but there's still other Vegapunks for them to deal with before that's an actual W for them. But I feel like if he does go island level, and straight nukes this place, it would only be after somehow they are to retrieve the power source of the Mother Flame. But I would love to see it. That would be super interesting, and I think it's been foreshadowed enough, you know, but like I'm fully convinced, even without the Mother Flame itself, that Saturn is capable of doing something of that level, because we saw Kuma doing like I said, Ursa Shock, like way back in Thriller Bark. If this is all Saturn has in his bag, I'm pretty disappointed. I don't think this is all we'll see from the Gorosei in their first showing, you know.
Also, what do you think? How do you think will Saturn react when he sees the giants? Because I can think of my mind how the relationship of the government to the giants is, other than they want to get their race reproduced, essentially. But
I think Saturn's going to be more confused than anything. He's going to be like, why are they here to help? Why are they here to aid the Straw Hat crew in leaving? And then he's going to make the connection that they know about him being the sun god.
Yeah, because I mean, if he knows about Nika, I'm sure he knows about like how that's the sun god is inherently tied to their culture. Go ahead, Kube. Sorry.
No, I was gonna add on. I think like it's not to go against what Dill is saying. I think it's more like I agree on it, but there's a semantic. I think he is not going to be shocked, but he is going to say, "Of course, I'm shocked that they're here as well." Then he's going to explain how the Buccaneers and the Giant connect to Nika, because they made that statement how the Buccaneer and the Giants are connected, are linked somehow. And we know the Buccaneers are very deep with the Sun God, and we know about the Giants. I think he might like put it all into a nice little bow, like saying something that will explain, that'll make more understanding. You know, of course they'll be here.
Bro.
You know, like the loyalty goes deep. Yeah,
I would love that, because it would be a nice way of capping off like Egghead, even though we don't get all of the reveals we thought we were going to get. Like, we thought it was going to be a very Frankie heavy arc, and we'd figure out more about the origin of devil fruits and like other technology, and like, but it would be a nice way of capping off Egghead reveal wise while tying us into Elbaf. So that would be super cool. I like that.
Also, the typical theme of somebody stomping on a spider. I think it would be cool to see the Giants go for Saturn as well. Yeah.
So actually, I had a thought like 10 minutes ago, and I don't want to interrupt the flow. I don't know it's gonna work because of Kuma's mental state, but I'm wondering if, and it would be very symbolic to, gotta give it shout out to our favorite cook for his favorite arc, Solo Bark, a callback to Solo Bark.
Let's go.
What if Kuma, I don't know how he's gonna do it, he's gonna find a way to release, because think about it, right? He doesn't have his memories, right? But it seems that he still has his will to some extent, right? Do you guys think he'll be capable of releasing all the pain he went through his life and put into Saturn? It might not kill him, but for that brief instant, Saturn will feel everything. So back to Zoro, nothing happened.
I don't know about all of the pain that he's had in his life, because that's crazy. I've heard the theory, and like I like, or that kind of thought being bounced around, and I'm like, yo, that would be some next level stuff. I think that the pain that he's feeling right now, sure, but the pain of his whole life is a lot, unless Vegapunk had found some way to assist him, but we have no confirmation that he's able to do like that, you know what I mean? Like, what we've seen from it so far is just taking like the current pain away, but as far as like the past, maybe it's like a combo, like a team up between Bonnie, like she de-ages him while he takes his pain away, and like that's like a combo thing between the two devil fruits, maybe, but I don't really think that that's like something that's feasible. But he is in an immense amount of pain right now, so there's that. And then so I mean, that's something that's cool to think about, but I just don't know how realistic it is, you know.
Yeah, obviously, because like I know the whole Kuma situation is a bit harder for that to work, but yeah. Don't know about you, Dill and Des. What do you guys think about, you know, Saturn feeling some sort of medicine?
Yeah, his own medicine. I would love this from the beginning that someone stated this. I would really love this too, that Saturn feels the pain of Kuma, even if it's just the current pain or his whole life, it doesn't really matter. But also I really think that the Kumas are definitely connected, and we see that the other islands of Vegapunk blown up, so I think it will all conclude in a big explosion with the island. So I can see, I would love to see him getting the pain from Kuma, but I really think Kuma goes all in with his other forms and making a big explosion on the island.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's something. It's something we saw in Karakuri Island in Frankie's time skip, is that he builds a self-destruct button in his labs.
Oh,
so
yeah,
where is that here? Like, that's got to be a thing on Egghead, right? So that's like interesting to think about.
Imagine if York did the same thing, and the only thing York does just before, if York is able to escape Egghead, appear the satellite and York is among them, the last thing York does is make sure that the reactor of Mother Flame is destroyed. So just realize York is the only one that seems to be working on it, right? So what if York, like, if he's a Vegapunk, she's a Vegapunk, if they don't do a thing, well, I'm gonna sort of one thing they need, and it's the power source for the Mother Flame.
Yeah.
I don't know, I keep calling Lelucia.
Bruh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lelucia never existed.
Yeah, exactly. No, but that's honestly, it's like such a great arc. But yeah, I'd like to get a bit onto the, I think, live action season 2.
Yes.
Let's go. Let's go. So I don't know, like before
but before we jump into that, yeah, I would really love to hear your take. What happens in the next chapter? Like clear predictions. What will happen next?
1108 predictions. Oof.
Do we have birthdays upcoming next week? This week?
I wouldn't have any idea. Like, as far as like the birthday like thing, some of them, like, people just ask in the SBS, like, hey, can this be this person's birthday? And Oda's like, sure. So there's like, I mean, like, some of the deeper like SBS information, it's not always just coincidence, but it's cool when it is, you know what I mean? But I don't know, as far as
the craziest one.
So upcoming birthdays would be Treble, Apu, Sabo, Shiki.
What?
Oh, you're looking about the actual dates when the chapters. So I'm looking at 1108, which is November 8th, is Karu's birth.
Karu, my boy. That's interesting.
What? But how do you come with the? Oh, you mean
1108?
No. Yeah. He always goes with current birthdays in the chapters most of the time. But yeah, Oda loves his numbers. Both, either way, it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that
Thousand Sunny also has birthday on the Sunday next week.
It can also think about this on how they read stuff. 1108 can also be the 8th of the 11th of August as well, or the 11th or the 8th of November, depending how you see it.
So it's either going to be Duval or Karu.
Yeah, okay. Most likely it'll be Karu because he's more relevant for Vivi's.
I don't think we're gonna. I honestly don't think we're gonna get anything from Vivi right now. Like, I think it's coming, but true. I don't know if it's gonna be next chapter. But it's interesting that you said Shiki though, because I do need him into the story. I don't think it's gonna be right now, but I think it's gonna be soon that he gets introduced. So that's crazy. My main predictions for next chapter, I mean, like, we've seen that the giants are making landfall. And, you know, Usopp meeting back up with them would be amazing. We got like a little teaser on that. So that would be something I would love to see proper. We can also see maybe them saving, like, scooping up the Sunny, or like something, you know, to prevent that whole situation from happening, because that's still kind of like a ticking clock as far as with with Lilith and Brooke. I think it would be really interesting if we got like a full confirmation on what the deal with Stella is, as well as I really honestly think that we're gonna see Kizaru get to a point of desperation where he understands that he's gonna be finished, and he's done. And I would love to see that self-sacrificing moment that I put on my bingo card, because I don't think he fully switches sides, but I do think he betrays. I don't think we're gonna get it next chapter, but maybe the setup for that. And then like obviously I think what a lot of people are wanting to see, mostly more than anything else, like I would love it if the entire chapter was like all dedicated to just Lucci versus Zoro. I kind of need to see that play out. If it's not going to be an off-screen fight, let's get it done, let's get it out the way, let's knock it out, you know. that's where I'm at for 1108 right now.
I think the open sides of the story were the giants attacking, what happens with Saturn, with Vegapunk, but also Kizaru and Zoro. Yeah, so one of these four things definitely.
Yeah. I don't think we're gonna get a resolution to the Caribou situation anytime soon. I think they're gonna he's gonna leave that open, you know.
Yes, definitely.
So, especially with, you know, what's interesting is the fact that Van Ogre was this chapter, and my prediction is maybe not for this chapter, and I have to give it for Mark because he's the one who reminded me, because of their cover story are also connected. I think we're gonna soon get Neomads revealed, because the last thing they said, it was angry, and they were just thinking all of them of Vegapunk. And now, and after their storyline was over, we got the cover story of the Blackbeard Pirates going to get pudding, and Van Ogre was there, and Van Ogre is already on Egghead. So I do think that we might get to some Neomad stuff pretty soon.
Oh, that'd be
Don't
interesting.
know when, but
yeah, I like what the Will of Dreams put in the chat, because that is totally true. 1111 would be the perfect chapter for Zoro to take the W against Lucci.
Yeah.
Because that's Zoro's.
Des was saying earlier too.
Yeah, so I really like that. Dill, do you have any 1108 predictions?
So I really think that even if for a short bit, we're gonna get the flash right back to Brook, because I think we're gonna be moving a little bit faster through these next chapters. Whereas I feel like in the past 5 chapters, we covered maybe the span of 30 minutes on Egghead. I think in the next 2 chapters, we're going to cover the next 30 minutes. So I think we're going to cut right back. We're going to see Brook getting to the edge of that platform that Lilith was so worried about. And we're going to see just the giants waiting there, catch them. Or to Hakaku Sovereignty, blast them off the edge.
Let's go. Yeah, that's crazy.
And I will change my mind. I will predict the next chapter is a Zoro chapter, because 108 was the chapter when Zoro beat up the people at Whiskey Peak. So that would be cool.
Mr. Bushido 56 with a €2 super chat said that he predicts that Lucci will beat Zoro, which I think is crazy. And then his standing prediction that is for every single chapter for the past year is that Carrot shows up. We'll see if that happens.
Definitely.
But I really hope it is like a Zoro Lucci focus, and we get that for like a chapter. Maybe we pop away for a little bit, and then like the conclusion of it all is going to be, you know, hopefully in 1111. But I mean, it would be cool, yeah, because you said like the parallel 108 as well. I don't know if it's going to be a fight that wraps up in one chapter though, although I mean I could see it happening because it's been ongoing. Like they're both already a little bit winded. But I could see it being like a longer fight potentially as well, that gets kind of broken up by a few other events, kind of like Roof Piece. You know, we didn't stick in one fight for like a full chapter. We saw like a couple other events until the conclusion of the fight.
Yeah.
I also wanted to, before we move off of the chapter speak and stuff like that, did anybody else find it really interesting that Bonnie and Luffy's conversation, while she's holding her father who's like incapacitated, and while Vegapunk is like on the floor bleeding out and things like that, Bonnie seemed very happy, and like it's like almost like Gear 5 almost has this like contagious effect, because it seemed like she was kind of joking around with him, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was very telling of she was able to liberate, or he was able to liberate her from her worry against the Gorsei member who was standing directly in front of them.
Yeah. You know
Yeah.
what? The way you
Now imagine,
wait.
Yeah.
Go Des. I'll go after you.
now imagine them both giving them a Nika punch on the head from left and right.
Oh, let's go.
Luffy and then Bonnie from the other side.
Gear 5 and Gear
So-
point 0.5.
I just need them to make a dance with him. That's all I need.
Yeah. So the way you said it, Vex, about that scene, you described another scene in One Piece that I've seen, and it made me think the same way. In the manga, when he was fighting against Luffy at the end of Kaido, and it was before Gear 5, when he was thinking about God Valley, and you would see the silhouette of Big Mom, Zebex, Garp, Whitebeard, and him, and they were all fighting, and you'd see all laughter. It gave me the same vibes. They're
Oh,
all
that's
laughing,
crazy.
and he seemed to enjoying it. Yeah, and if you think about it, they were fight to the death. So now that you said that, I'm wondering if there was a possible Joy Boy sighting or potential candidate at God Valley. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Like, and a lot of people have been speculating Rocks could have been a failed Joy Boy candidate as well, and like Buggy could be in the same category. So that'd be really interesting as well. I also wanted to shout out to 3-Day because that's a fire idea. Potentially seeing our first Logia awakening. I know Mr. Bushido thinks that our first Logia awakening is going to be Smoker, but I think that there's a very real possibility it could indeed be Kizaru, which I would love to see. I cannot wait for like the rest of Egghead to get animated, because like the whole Kizaru Luffy situation, like this is just such a great arc. I'm so excited for also the anime right now.
Yeah.
You know, like because some of the chat was going off about how the anime the most recent episode kind of tied in with the most recent chapter, so that's really cool. I also think it's interesting because, well, if the Little Garden significance is like, you know, something that's going to be persistent from here on, this could also kind of tie back to where we will be in season 2 of the live action, you know, because we do obviously need to get through Little Garden in that. So that's maybe potentially a really great segue into talking about the live action now, if we didn't have anything else as far as like current chapter speak. You know, I feel like I nailed that, right?
The only thing I'm going to say is it's not always, but you are right. Oda does sometimes try to connect certain, like when the Nika thing came back at the anime, it was around the same chapter where Zunisha was talking about the Joy Boy. So I do know that in the past he's done, not all the time, obviously not the one-to-one, but yeah. He has tried to make certain chapters and then episode link up together.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can get to live action.
As the live action connection to the manga itself, we also know that they included stuff that was very recent in the manga into the East Blue saga, like for example, Buggy's dream of becoming a you know what I mean.
The god of the pirates.
Yeah,
you know.
essentially. But and other stuff like I think during the live action we got many chapters with Garp and stuff, so it really reflects in the same timing, and I think Oda has this in mind as well, because the beginning of the story will also reflect the ending of the story. So I guess we will see more of Smoker next year, of Sabo next year, of Crocodile next year, of Vivi next year. So I really think of Vivi joining, and more of revealing about Vivi and about the other characters will be included into the live action as well, because they didn't even started filming yet. So.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how, because I don't know of any confirmations, but I know you're kind of like the guy at the forefront of this right now, so I'm super hyped to have you here. But the fact that we didn't get Logtown in season 1, is that exactly where we're starting in season 2? Is there confirmation of that, or is that just speculation?
That's confirmation. So they have many footage that they didn't put in the series.
Yeah.
And they said they filmed Logtown in 2 different versions. So definitely in the flashback version. And you kind of see Smoker in there as well. So they definitely planned for, like the original script that got leaked, they originally planned to start the whole series with a flashback from Smoker, so they could end the season with Smoker during the execution. But I really think that we will start the next season just like this, to begin in Locktown with the execution again, but seeing more characters, because they said they had more scenes of characters that were at the execution, and then at the end of episode 1, essentially, we see Smoker being very angry about Luffy getting away from Locktown and getting onto the Grand Line. That
really
is
quick.
Episode 1 for me.
Yeah, really quick. I know that our Frontline combatant, we got Detective Dill. He said that he is about to have to dip, so I just wanted to give you a little spot, Dill, if you wanted to, shout anything out, and tell everybody peace, say what you got to say. But thank you for joining us, brother.
No problem. I just wanted to give a big shout out to Disness, who hopped on with us today to cook. And we got love for you over here. Everyone over here.
Totally okay. Check out Dill's channel, of course.
I don't have a channel, but I do participate in Group 2 over on vexyz, the Lurking Legends channel. Group 2 solos. Also Sundays.
Okay.
I don't post on it, but
not yet.
Group 6 on Sundays, the Marines group solos. We keep it real over there. We're fighting a werewolf-esque creature tomorrow.
Cool.
Nice. So, yeah, if you're into One Piece D&D, definitely check out my channel and join the server and grab the D&D nerd roll. And it's been crazy hype. Finishing a whole arc in my Group 2 campaign this Tuesday should be really, really interesting. But yeah, major shout out to you, Dill. Can't wait for the next Detective Dill that Smokey's cooking up. But again, thank you for joining us. It's been a really great chapter discussion. And yeah, can't wait to cook with you another time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dill.
Peace out, everyone. Oh, shuckle fuck.
Oh my god. It's the Detective Dill catchphrase. But yeah, as far as episode 1 goes, I think it's really interesting what you brought up, that the there was so much about Logtown that Oda felt rushed about. I think because he wanted chapter 100 to be a specific event, because he does like his numbers, and he added more into the anime.
Yes.
And so I feel like there's probably a lot more that will be added into the live action now that he gets an extra whack at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We should talk about scope at first, because they planned to do it 12 episodes with Locktown and got cut off to 8 essentially. So I really think that we will get at least 10 or 12 episodes next season. So we have much time for everything in it, and we won't get Drum Island and Alabasta separated. But I really think for the first episode we solely focus on Locktown, because Locktown summarizes East Blue in itself, I guess, and we kind of saw the reflection of Smoker in Garb as well, with him holding back Luffy and telling him, hey, on the Grand Line there are much worse enemies than me. How do you want to manage that? And I think for me the execution scene in Locktown is my favorite East Blue moment. So to giving this epic moment as a send off for the second season, it fits as well. So yeah,
I real quick, I wanted to read Mr. Bushido 56 with another 5 euro super chat. Said Shanks killed Captain John and took down Shiki and Elbaf 6 years ago, stopping the reformation of the Rock crew. That is how he became a Yonko. John was former Yonko. That's a crazy theory, bro, and I would love to cook on that. I'm not fully on board at all with it, but I'd love to cook in the server with you in the Theories channel or in Punk Records. But we are talking about the live action now. I wanted to ask specifically because I knew they had to kind of get a little bit more creative because they went originally in season 1 from a 10 episode series to an 8 episode series. Do we have a confirmation of how many episodes this season is going to be?
Not yet, but we have the confirmation that Netflix immediately after the season went viral and stuff, give them green light for as much as we can think of. So I guess they get at least 10 episodes this time.
Hopefully,
because they're in for it the first time. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Cube.
Episodes would be even better, but yeah.
Even better, yeah. Go ahead, Cube. Sorry.
I remember a few months ago, well, when the first time live action came, I remember Lucas and I were on VC, and we actually like the manga volumes, because that's what they don't go after the anime, they look through the manga volumes, and we looked and it cannot be shorter than 10. It's because of, well, even though it's compared to Alabasta, it's a short arc. Just in the manga itself, volume 16 with Drum Island, there's so much stuff that is important that it's tough. So yeah, I don't see them doing shorter than 10 episodes. Considering Alabasta by itself is like, what is it, like 3 volumes Alabasta, or 2 volumes by itself?
So I can give you the full rundown how I separated it. And I went through the story extensively for that video. Let me just look it up. But I totally agree. More time is better, for sure. But if they had to rush some things, they would definitely cut some things like Whiskey Peak and not things like Drum Island or something. That doesn't make any sense. So,
I mean, what did we learn about Whiskey Peak? The Borg Quarks, name drop, Mr. 7 go after Zoro. And we learn about the Borg Quark stuff mostly. And
honestly,
we got that in season 1.
Yeah, honestly, so, I'm totally fine with Whiskey Peak not happening, because like I don't know, like if they did have to rush some things, we saw that like Arlong Park and Baratier kind of got like amalgamed together in certain bits and events and things like that. I'm totally fine with Whiskey Peak not happening. Because like you said, they did take care of some of the legwork that we had in the panels and in the episodes already in season 1 with introducing Brokeworks. I think that if we just focused on like the Laboon stuff for an episode, it could accomplish a lot of like, I don't know. I don't need Whiskey Peak in the live action. If they do it, I hope that it's not a full episode, because I don't think it needs it, honestly.
The only thing with Whiskey Peak I was going to say is just they have to rearrange how they introduce Robin. That's the only way. That's the only thing that changes. Because that's where she's introduced.
So on my rundown for the second season, if they get like, I made it like for 8 episodes, for 10 episodes, and for 12 episodes each. One of them they will get, okay? But for 8 episodes, it would be possible to... I would even think that Loguetown and Remorse Mountain could be in one episode, because both of them take about 5 chapters, and in the live action they usually take 10 to 15 chapters into one episode. So they could do both stories in one episode. Then Whiskey Peak would be the second episode if they want to do Whiskey Peak, because it's only about 10 chapters. Then we have Little Garden for episode 3. That's about 15 chapters long. And then we have in episode 4, Drum Island. I think some of Drum Island you can summarize, like Vivi getting ill or something like that. Oh, no, it was Nami, sorry. But you can short it down in some cases maybe, but not on the flashback, of course. And then we have 4 episodes left for Alabasta. That would be 15 chapters per episode, so it would fit with the first season. And if we get 10 episodes, we could do more Alabasta and more Drum. And if we get 12 episodes, we can do more Little Garden, more Drum, and Alabasta. So I think the 10 to 15 chapters per episode is very fits for season 2 as well, even with 8 episodes. So yeah, I like what you've said, just because of the consistency of the pacing and things like that. I kind of hope that there is more time spent on Longtown myself, and like I also am very worried if they do, because like I honestly
I feel like they spent a little bit too much time in certain parts of Surat Village that didn't quite focus on Usopp, but just focused on like a one-off villain and things like that, and like side characters. And so like the thing is like this was a complaint that I heard, and I kind of understand the sentiment, although I'm somebody who has seen the story and read the manga and things like that. But in the live action, if it was the only thing that you had seen, it doesn't make a lot of sense as far as Usopp's motivation, as he wanted like he did this all to like save Kaya and then immediately left, like instead of like spending time with her. And they didn't spend as much time in Surat Village focusing on Usopp's motivations, and so it doesn't necessarily 100% make sense as to why he joined the crew, because there was things that they kind of sped through and glossed over. I'm worried if they do the same thing in Drum. So I hope that they do take their time and really make it impactful with Chopper, because it was a very, very impactful flashback and like arc for as to why it made sense why Chopper joins. And I hope that they don't, because that was a major complaint that I did hear from people about season 1, is that Usopp's motivation felt like brushed under the rug a little bit. So I hope they do take whatever time they need in Drum to do that. Although I'm not a huge fan of Drum Island myself, I do recognize that that flashback is huge. And as far as Alabasta, though, that's a must for me. I think they have to really give it the time that it deserves to develop Ace as a character, and the relationship between Smoker and Vivi and the Straw Hats and things like that. Give Sanji his like solo time to shine. Really, really, really hope we get a great showing from Bon Clay, and obviously Miss All Sunday and Crocodile. There's just so much to unpack. I think that like I wouldn't be mad if Alabasta was half of the season, honestly, like the island proper, but I know that that's not always how it's gonna unfold. But based off of what you said with like how many episodes or how many chapters they normally cover per episode, I could definitely see where you're at. I just like I was worried about Drum Kingdom specifically, just because of, like I said, with them following that pacing, it felt like Usopp's introduction and motivation was just not really fully delivered on in season 1. So hopefully they do it right with Chopper, right?
Yeah, I think Usopp has many more moments in the Alabasta saga with his first big fight, with his you can always take Little Garden as his,
absolutely. I'm hoping for that.
More of his ideology behind it and stuff. Yeah, I think everything is possible if you can. And we now have people in the writers' room that are really, really into it. We already know that, but now that Randy has joined as well, so we can be sure that if they make something, they will do it right. Yeah. Another focus. Yeah. Sorry.
I was just gonna say it's also one of my favorite backstory, but I think on how the Drum Island backstory of Chopper is, if they do it good, the backstory, I think people are going to be convinced of Chopper's motivations. I think his backstory is not that, you know what I mean. But if they fail the backstories, then yeah. But if they can make a great backstory for Chopper ones, then I think they'll succeed what we want,
Yeah. Also, we know in the live action they take not long time for the fights. If they continue on with that trend, even the fights in Alabasta will be longer nonetheless, but if they make them shorter than they appear in the manga and in the anime, or in the anime essentially, we'll have plenty of time more for establishing these emotional scenes, like the Chopper flashback, like the whole building up to Alabasta, or like the Usopp in Little Garden and stuff. So, and I really think the really positive thing about the live action is getting the human feelings done right. That's one of the things that, especially the people that didn't read the story before, can relate to the most. Where it's the human tragedy behind the stories, essentially. That
it's always crazy to try to explain to people like that One Piece is not just a kid show. Whenever they first get into it and they see like Helmeppo and like just like goofy hairstyles and wacky laughs and people with boogers hanging out of their nose and their eyes popping out of their head and stuff like that. And like, so yeah, getting like the more human side of it is a really, really, what I think this could really be all about to get more people into it. So I love that you brought that up. I also like that it gives Oda another chance at including story bits that he didn't originally intend to, or wanted to but didn't get the chance to. Like I said with Logtown, he wanted to include more in the panels, but he didn't because he felt pressed, and so like he ended up doing more in the anime that was anime canon, but wasn't included in the panels. So that's interesting. But also, like, we know that he originally did not intend for Miss Wednesday to be Vivi Nefertari. He knew there was going to be a princess in Alabasta, but Miss Wednesday was not the original, like that was something completely different. So there's a chance that he could change up like something about Vivi's introduction as well to make it seem like, I don't know. So that's interesting. I didn't know if you had any opinions on that, Desness.
Yeah. I think especially with the changes and stuff, you must think of the things that the things that the live action do makes the canon more canon. Like, for example, the stabbing of Luffy in the beginning, okay? They added more nuance to it and made it more detailed, like in the manga. It's just 1 or 2 panels in the manga when Luffy stabs himself in the beginning. But in the live action, he first talks with Shanks about his wounds, and Shanks tells him, yeah, the scar on my face I got from not being aware of enemies, and that was Blackbeard. And then Luffy wants to have a scar as well, and even wanted to punch his eye out, he said. And so essentially we got the confirmation that because of, and we didn't get that in the manga, but because of Shanks being hit by Blackbeard and having a scar, we have Luffy wanting his own scar and hurting himself. So essentially Blackbeard got Luffy the scar. And it's details like this that you didn't really explain step by step in the manga, but would make sense, the same sense in canon as well. Like, for example, the thing with Garp, okay? When the live action got announced and we saw Garp, many people said, "Huh, why is Garp there?" Yeah, but then, and it was a theory by then, we got the confirmation after the live action that Garp's son, or in that case Dragon, I don't want to assume family things, but we got the confirmation that Dragon was a Marine, so it would make sense that Garp has more focus on getting Luffy into the Marines as well. So it was brought back for a reason more into the live action with the confirmation of Oda, and it felt weird, but it depended on stuff that we didn't know yet in the manga. So in the same sense, changes that they make in the live action could mean more into the canon of the manga itself.
Yeah, I get you. And so like, I was thinking like, so because Garp is present in the East Blue for much of like for all of season 1 and things like that, do you think that they're going to switch up like Logtown and not introduce Smoker then, but wait to introduce him in later into the Alabasta saga?
So for me, we got the side story for for season 1, we got the side story with the point of view from Garp or Kobe, right? So I think for season 2, we will get a side story in the viewpoint of Smoker and Tashigi,
like that.
In the viewpoint of Ace even, because I think Ace makes even more sense because we can focus more on Ace, but Garp makes sense in the sense of we're beginning the season with Garp. Doesn't make sense. We're beginning the season with Smoker and ending the season with Smoker appearing at Alabasta. And Shanks as a side story these names. Ace as a side story makes sense because in the first half until Alabasta, we don't really see Ace. But if we make Ace as a side story until then, it would be more of an impact if we saw him as a side story and he just says he searches for his brother, or he just says he searches for someone.
It'd be similar to Buggy, like, because we got Buggy kind of side events, you know, throughout season 1. So I see what you're saying as like a tertiary side story.
And then in Alabasta he even appears, and then the 2 side stories would come together. Like, I think we get Smoker as a in the beginning and in the end, and that's the focus for the whole making the season round, or making the season feel within itself finished. And for side story we get Ace until we are in Alabasta, and then we get side stories because the Straw Hats separate themselves, and then we have this as a side story essentially. In Alabasta.
I was just gonna say, I think Lockdown is okay if they don't go there, but there's one thing they need to do it for sure. Another island is Zoro's storyline in Lockdown, because his blades. One of them he gets until Thriller Bark, and I think one of them he has it till now. Because don't forget, it was canon, like even in live action, he loses 2 of his blades to Mihawk, like in the manga. So
I think
2 blades.
I think he has to. They have to go to Logtown, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think they have to go to Whiskey Peak. I think they have to go to Little Garden, especially with like what's going on in the manga right now, like the significance. Like, well, I mean, I don't know if live action's gonna get that far, but still, to respect the canon, like they absolutely have to go to Little Garden. But I don't. The only thing I think I can see them cutting out is Whiskey Peak. I think they can definitely shorten, like the Crocus stuff at Twin Cape. And like Logtown, I kind of hope they don't shorten it. I really hope they spend a lot of time there, but I think they have to go there. You know what I mean? Just because of like, it really does, like you said, like it'd be the perfect place to recap certain events that happened in season 1, because you know that's like that's a way, like when you structure it as like a show that is to be binged, like Netflix type of media, it's not like we get one episode, it's not serialized in the sense that you get one and then you get one next week and then one next week. This is like something, so people will need a little bit of a refresher, of a reminder. Logtown is the perfect place for the Straw Hats to kind of recap what they've been through, or for like a Marine to like Smoker to report like, well, this is, you know, what we have on them so far, and we get a little bit of a recapping, and then we get like a little bit of a calm before the storm and more world building and things like that. I think that it's a must. They have to start with Logtown. You know what I mean? I was trolling, but I still am very passionate about the fact that I think that it would be great if we started with my boy Gaimon. And the Island of Strange Animals, because I'm so salty that they cut it out, and I'm like, we're still in East Blue, it could still happen. But I think that ship has sailed, you know. But I would love to see it. If they get a very long season, hey, maybe the cope is real, you know what I mean? But I don't know, like it's crazy.
Also they could do a thing where both Buggy and Luffy's crew did go there, but we didn't see it, and then we might get a snippet of a flashback later on. Because we don't see what happens when they're from one island to another, so they can still, you know, not retcon it, but you know what I mean. Enjoy it later on.
What I think from the Logtown perspective, at least, I really Logtown is a recap in itself, because it has all the enemies from the East Blue except Arlong that got beaten. It has Buggy and Alvida. That's the very first enemies for all of them, and it got the moment of we are very close to the Grand Line, and this is the kind of enemies that you can expect from the Grand Line, essentially, with 2 Devil Fruit users going, with 3 Devil Fruit users go against the Straw Hats in that story, and also we got the teasing for Roger and getting more information about Roger and stuff. So
Dragon as well,
and that concludes Nami's later abilities in the season. Yeah, I mean the Roger stuff gets later revealed in Drum Island as well, more and more. So I think it really fits. It doesn't feel right, but it really fits for season 2 as well. And yeah, then.
Hello.
What's up, Den?
Hello.
Oh,
how is everyone?
let me turn you up real quick before you start spitting. But yeah, we're on the live action, brother. How are you doing today?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. The when I got moved from VC to here, it made me really jump, so I'm a bit frightened. But what we talking about? We're talking about the live action.
Yeah, specifically, Desnus had told us kind of like if it's going to be 8 episodes or 10 episodes or 12 episodes, about how much time he had assumed that we would spend in certain places. And I think we're all in agreement that we absolutely have to go to Logtown. It's not something they can really skip over because it's such a good recap point and there's a lot of good world building and things like that. And I was saying, and I think it's a shared sentiment, we could probably skip over Whiskey Peak. But like Logtown is non-negotiable. We have to go there. Do you have any thoughts on Logtown? We had also brought up because in the panels, Oda didn't get to include some things. And then whenever the anime got to Logtown, there were some anime only like canon episodes. So like, what are your hopes for Logtown in the live action season 2?
Well, my first, like when I was hearing you spit, like my first reaction was like you're talking about expanding it, including some things.
Yeah.
Like, I think with the success, we look at stuff like, now it is this successful, we can look at stuff like Game of Thrones and we see like there's some characters that aren't in Game of Thrones and there's some different characters that are in the show. And I'm not saying One Piece is going to go fully that way, but I do see them expanding stuff like Logtown. And I think the topic of how many episodes, like Desnus and I spoke about this before, how many episodes are going to be in the season and how it's going to come out, I think that is interesting because of the content that they got to cover. Like, I'd like to see an expanded Logtown, but at the same time, how can they fit all this in with Alabasta and stuff? So hopefully they drag it out a little bit, and I can't believe I'm asking for that, but yeah, hopefully they drag it out over a few episodes, show us some good stuff.
Yeah, so Des, you had said like you could see Logtown and like Reverse Mountain being potentially just 2 halves to the same episode. Honestly,
so the thing is, yeah.
I hope that like Logtown is more like an episode and a half, and then the latter half of the second episode we get like Reverse Mountain, you know what I mean? But it depends on how long the season is. Like, I get that, you know.
So we get Logtown 100%. Okay, so either it's done in the quick way because they don't have time for it. That would be like concluding Logtown and going to Reverse Mountain at the same episode and ending with it with like being in the whale or something like that, or they drag it out, end the first episode on the execution, and then we get the last of the last bit of Logtown and then Reverse Mountain in one episode. So either of them, and I think they aimed last season for 10 episodes. I really think they can get their 10 episodes now, because it's better when the first season is shorter, and maybe the second season with 10 episodes is great then. Yeah.
The one thing I really hope they will emphasize in season 2, and it's not just Logtown, it's also Before Drum Island. And Denden knows about this. It's one of my biggest headcanon. It's, she's my favorite female. Nami's ability to understand, sense weather more than just making maps. That was introduced Before Drum Island, and where Vivi even says she is the only navigator I have heard of with that level of foresight and knowing weather changes, even when she's about to faint and she was sick. And there was a similar thing in Logtown, where she just looked at the sky and she said, "We have to go. There's something unnatural with the sky, and there might be a storm." I really hope that they won't, skip those parts out.
Yo, that's gonna be crazy, actually, because like in Logtown we get like the first dragon flex, and like that's gonna be huge, like because like people already kind of take like any little snippet of dragon to fuel like their own theories and things like that. That's not even something I really totally like grasped the scope of, like, and like really gauged the depth, is like that moment is going to be huge in the live action. So yeah, we absolutely have to go over it. But I mean, that's just so crazy to me.
I got a question in that case. I was going to ask, in that case, Vex, like, what do you think there's any possibility that they might accidentally or maybe intentionally put a spoiler in the live action?
I mean,
point, considering the whole dragon thing.
So they already put spoiler in the first season, like with Buggy and stuff.
That's what I was gonna say. Is they've already kind of
adding stuff. Yeah, I could see
Also
it like
Garp.
a thing of. Yeah, I could see it like a thing of Smoker got stopped by Dragon, and then later in Alabasta, when Smoker meets Luffy again, he could ask him about their relationship, why they have the same last name or something like that, to has it as a reveal. Because I really think that they put Garb way beforehand as well, because if they put Garb way earlier, that would mean that post Enis lobby would be way quicker to do in like a few
Yeah,
minutes. And if you
that's
that little information earlier as well, it would be no post Enis lobby needed in that sense.
Also, Des, remember when the dragon's full name was dropped by Garp? Even the Marine who was with Garp said, "I've never officially heard his full name." I'm pretty sure the reason why is because I think they always refer to him as Dragon.
Well,
Because he's
we know.
Garp's grandson.
Yeah, we know Oda is a little cheeky like that, and like although he wasn't an executive producer or head writer, he still had to greenlight some of the things that were going on in like films like Stampede and whatnot. And Stampede actually spoiled, instead of Raftel, it being Laugh-Tail, because at that point when the movie came out, that was not revealed in the manga. So manga readers got spoiled by a non-canon movie in that event. And so like we know that, and Oda wasn't even fully involved in that. So we know Oda's cheeky like that, and I can absolutely see like the Logtown Dragon sequence maybe potentially having a snippet of that. But where I'm really at with it is like they set up Garp as the main like antagonistic front, and then they kind of flipped that and showed us like, oh, surprise twist at the end, he's actually like on Luffy's side for the most part, but he was the main like looming threat as far as like marine presence and whatnot in season 1. And now we're getting Smoker set up to be, and obviously Crocodile, the main threats and like looming presences in season 2. So if they were to go to season 3, where would we start would obviously be Jaya. And so I'm hoping that at the very last like little credits bit we get Blackbeard. And that would, like, because they can't really show us NL, because they're supposed to have a little bit of suspended disbelief about the existence of Skypiea until like the St. Brice falls, or until we see like the full depth of the knockup stream and things like that, and more is explained about it at Jaya. But what would be the biggest way to like really hype up the fan base and get people who have never seen it, like after like post Alabasta, to like in the credits, like we saw Smoker, in season 1 at the very last like second, like it's to show Blackbeard. And he's even hinted at in in the anime and in the manga in Drum Kingdom. So mentioning him and setting him up as the next like big looming presence, I think would be perfect, is to start season 3 and end season 3 with Blackbeard, because when they come back down from Skypiea, obviously they get right into some other events, but Blackbeard is making moves in other parts of the world. And this is really when the world building starts to focus on things other than the Straw Hats as we get further into the Grand Line. So I really hope that we get more of Blackbeard being fleshed out earlier into the Alabasta saga and things like that, like instead of just a name drop in Drum Kingdom. And like Ace just barely mentioning him in Alabasta and like things like that. I hope we really get some setup in season 2 for season 3. That's where I'm at with it, but definitely with Dragon as well.
Yeah.
Honestly, go Des, I'll go after you.
I think with more Ace, we indirectly get more of foreshadowing for Blackbeard as well, because the live action is written with the recent manga in mind. For example, we definitely get more Nika symbolism during Little Garden, for example, and stuff like that in the live action. So I really can see, if we get along with Ace and get a side story, essentially like the Garp treatment, we would hear and see the results of Blackbeard going around, maybe. Yeah.
Honestly, with what Vex said, I'm gonna jump in because I like what Vex said. I do want the Blackbeard, but I want to do it in a way that's very interesting, because I don't want to make the twist. Because don't forget, when Luffy eats with Blackbeard, that the pie and gets those things,
we don't know who they are, you know. And so I would love for it that in the last episode they arrive already at Jaya. We get the pie scene, then we get obviously the post credit scene is Blackbeard seeing Luffy's bounty picture. You know,
That'd be
with
interesting.
because that was the whole twist. Yeah.
I mean, there's also.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, from a production standpoint, they probably saw like the success of Buggy as well, like the actor, and how much charisma he brought to the role, and how much people like, he popped off online and stuff like that. They might do stuff like that now with someone like Blackbeard and introduce him early, like with a drum silhouette or something like that, and have like a really charismatic actor like build it up and then be, a major part, like a major antagonist.
Yeah, and I mean, to not forget about everything that happened in season 1 as well, like, I think it would be interesting if they gave us a little bit of maybe like what Buggy's doing, like, because we know that he is searching for a skull-shaped island at this point in time, but they don't have to really show us that, but it'd be cool if they did for just like one scene, just to make sure people don't forget, Buggy still exists. But there's also... There's also Shanks, because Shanks is on his way to meet with Whitebeard right now. And like they gave us like the little nugget of Shanks and Mihawk talking at the end of season 1. So just so that we don't forget about him and things like that. And it would be really weird if I feel like if they keep on that kind of same attitude and making sure that we don't forget about some of the bigger figures that are still around in the ocean. What if we did get maybe like earlier than originally intended, a little snippet of Shanks, maybe specifically sending Rockstar to Whitebeard, and then in season 3 we get Shanks actually meeting up with Whitebeard. So there's a lot that they could do as far as little asides, and I think Buggy and Shanks are absolutely two characters, especially knowing what we know now. Blackbeard, Buggy, and Shanks and Luffy are huge figures currently in the manga, so it would be great for them to have a little bit of focus on, especially Luffy, but I think Blackbeard, Buggy, and Shanks could very well get showings, even though they're not really a part of the Alabasta saga too much. I think it could be smart for them to do that in season 2.
Honestly, I could say it in the bounty, and every time, and for those who didn't realize it, I think it was with Makino, her newspaper, when she puts Luffy's bounty, there's a logo of the Revolution Army, article most likely about Dragon. So I could see something similar to that when he gets 100 million bounty, which is, a huge moment. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't know which bounty it is, but there's one bounty that Whitebeard is shown to A. So we could also have the whole Rockstar scene happening when Shanks sees Luffy's 100 million bounty. Sending him to go see Whitebeard.
Mm.
Yeah, it could be interesting. Because for real, they don't want the newer viewers to forget. I'm sorry, go ahead, Desnus.
Yeah. If we're talking season 3 right now, should I give you the rundown of what I think the future seasons will hold with chapters and stuff?
Let's go.
So, we said 100 chapters per season, okay? And if they have 10 episodes per season, not 8, so they have a little bit more chapters per season. But I really think that in season 3 they will drag out Sky Island, because Sky Island in itself, with the whole arc, is 85 chapters long. So they can drag it out as long as they want, essentially. Then in season 4 we will have plenty to do, and I think they will do Water 7. That's 53 Long Ring Longland is 19 chapters. Water 7 is 53 chapters. Plus they will do the Enies Lobby first part. That will be 13 chapters. That will conclude in about 100 chapters until the flag shot for the ending of the season. In season 5, we could get into the last part of Enies Lobby with post Enies Lobby. That's 43 chapters with 11 chapters post Enies Lobby. And then we could fit in the whole thriller bug that has only 48 chapters. So we would have 100 chapters for that as well. And then we have we have the whole rest of the time skip that has only 108 chapters. So it's totally doable all in 6 seasons.
How do you know all these chapters? Have you got it in front of you?
I wrote it down. I can send you the video.
Oh yeah, no, he's got his
if that was off the top of the dome.
I can send you a screenshot of it.
Desnus has got notes.
Cool.
He's got receipts because earlier when he was storyboarding season 2, he's like, I have it prepared for if it's 8 episodes, 10 episodes, or 12 episodes because we still don't have confirmation of that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, this guy came prepared. Like, good on you. Like
did a video on this.
I thought you were just like reading them off the top of your head for a second. I was like, this guy.
It was like reading from a video that I did. Yeah. From my hand would be crazy, right?
I do think it's legit because I always said that the post Ennis Lobbies arc are one of the most important post arcs we've ever had. There's so much stuff happening in those post arcs, so I do feel like I like what you just said. It's interesting.
Yeah,
I can see it happen that way.
The things that maybe you can, I don't know if you can put them on the stream as well, but the screenshots I just posted in the chat, but these are the summaries I did for the video. Yeah,
I don't know if it's gonna show up. I'm probably not gonna. I don't want to, but
okay, yeah, totally okay.
Yeah, we can make a community post about it maybe in
We'll throw it in the Discord either way.
It's showing. Yeah, it's showing up. Yeah. So this is interesting as far as the episode counts.
Because it fits so well, and they said they have 6 seasons planned. That would cut off exactly for the time skip, and it would make sense to make a break after this and then come back to film the rest of it if they want to. So
there's a question actually for you, Desnis, in the chat.
Yes.
From Miguel. Well, that's quite of a wonderful name. Has Desnis considered longer runtime instead of quantity of episodes?
Yeah. So there are Netflix standard things, okay? And people that worked with Netflix said that already publicly in interviews and stuff, that Netflix really has like a frame of things that they really want to do every time. And they saw from testing out views and stuff that you should do an episode from 45 minutes to 1 hour. That's like the perfect episode, and you can see that throughout all of their shows that they aim it for that time in each episode with all of their shows, and it would be possible for longer runtime, but I think it just is the Netflix rule and they go with that.
One thing to think about though is that it would be interesting if and we've seen this with other anime adaptations very recently as well in the industry. And I know Netflix is not really one that's doing it. It's a lot of other animation studios that are doing it. But for specific arcs and for other bits that maybe are not like a full season, do you think there's a chance that they might just do a movie, like a 2-hour like chunk? You know what I mean?
Definitely. I can also see with them right now doing the dragon movie, a monster movie, sorry. I really can see them stepping into side stories to make them like they could do shorts, or they could do like a summarize version of something.
They could do what you guys remember the Netflix? I think it's a Netflix show. Yeah.
Will of Dreams said Vega-sized head with all that info.
No, yeah, we love that. Will has been cracking me up this entire stream so far. We shout out.
They can do what Sense 8 did. Basically, they were supposed to release their season 3, but it took forever, and they had like episodes they couldn't use, so they made like a Christmas thing. So basically it was a way to have they could also do, while preparing for the live action, they could do like cover story sequences, storyline. Yeah. Because cover stories is like what?
Also, if they do Chopper CGI, and they will do that, I mean, it's possible with like Rocket Raccoon and stuff, we could immediately get just a completely made up Chopper story, like the Chopper Man story or something like that, in CGI for Christmas or something like that. So everything is possible in that realm when they touch more into, okay, we love One Piece, what can we do outside of the original story? Yeah.
Well, I was also
I have a
thinking
question.
that. Sorry, go ahead.
you guys
Den,
go.
yeah, Den, go real quick.
I was going to say, it's also something else that leads to them doing spin-offs and stuff like that is, we spoke about this like ages ago. The story in One Piece is really long, and the actors and actresses, like, this ain't Harry Potter where it's like, you know, we're gonna see him grow up. Like, these dudes are gonna be looking 40 when they're playing 17-year-olds pretty soon. So I think, yeah, they'll try and make money in other ways, basically.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is like, it seems like. Go ahead.
So Randy Troy already proposed us a solution for this kind of stuff in his streams while he wasn't in the writer's room, but now he is in the writer's room. So his predictions for them doing something before he got hired will be something that he will bring up in the writer's room and will help the production, in my opinion. So something that he brought up is that it's usually things that people in Hollywood do for some productions, even for movies that go with more parts and stuff, that they film stuff that they use later. So he proposed that they film many stuff that will come back later as flashbacks, for example. So they have all the flashbacks covered when they came up. For example, if they cast a Robin, they film every flashback moments where she's grown up or something like that, while she appears for the first time, and then they have all flashback scenes prepared for that. Or if they cast a Kid Robin, they will film all the scenes with Kid Robin for the flashbacks in the future, so they have the material for it. So with time and time, with more flashbacks, like we see more flashbacks like in season 4, season 5. They could really do more, and in season 6, and they could really pre-work the flashbacks in, so they have less work to do later. And the first season was just about getting the thing to the audience, and now it's confirmed that it works. So I really think that they can, when they now write the scripts for each of the 5 seasons, they could really go very hard on filming everything and narrow it down to even shorter than the Potter films were, because the Potter films was 8 movies in like 12 years or something, 15 years. Let me look it up.
No, it's 11 years around, because they started in year 2000, and I think the last movie came out in 2011, 2012.
Hey, let me look
So you
it
have to
up.
take.
So where's the list? Here's the list. So the first movie came out in terms of Harry Potter 2001.
Spit it.
Yeah,
That's
10
awesome.
years essentially, but they filmed more than 10 years. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say, you're right, because just think of the ASL flashback. If we're going with what you said, so season 6 would be most likely the ASL flashback. That's 6 years later on. I don't think the Luffy actor would look the same after 6 years as well already.
Yeah, that was Randy Troy's idea in his streams all the time, that they would film all the flashback scenes in one sitting, so they have them prepared for future things, because they already know what will happen in the future.
Yeah.
So they just need to film it while the actor is still the same. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I have a worry about the live action, and because season 2 they cannot avoid it. It's the lack of the animal that they have to interact. You know, those special animals, Mumu, Shushu. Like we saw Shushu quickly, but nothing. And I'm scared. I hope in season 2 we'll go, because in season 2 there's like those unique animals in Alabasta and Drum Island, Laboon. I just hope they won't, avoid using some of them. like it did in season 1.
Well, so I mean, with the Lord of the Coast that we saw in season 1, I think with Laboon, it's totally possible that they do just an entire CG Laboon, and a lot of people are leaning towards CG Chopper. And like, I mean, the thing is we might not get Kung Fu Dugongs, we might not get Karoo or Banana Wani or like the bears that are in Drum Kingdom. I think that's not completely detrimental to the story. If we had to pick one, I mean, I'd really love for Karoo to still be a character, but I don't think those take too much away from the story if we cut them out. Like, I love the Kung Fu Dugongs, but that'd be a lot to CG, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a shame, man. That is a shame. You're right. I think like the stuff like the crocodiles, banana dolls and stuff, I think they'll definitely be in there. Like, you can just imagine Netflix having like the preview, like this huge like crocodile like swimming past, but because you can do short clips, but having Karoo, it's a shame. Karoo could probably look real good, like, but it'd just be so expensive.
We need Lasso, the Mr. Force dog. That's for sure. He has to be there.
So
Yeah, he needs to be there.
the East Blue is kind of the introduction to the story, and the East Blue is very different from the Grand Line, and all the wacky figures that we see in the East Blue are coming from the Grand Line. So I think it was like a pitch for every normal people out there that doesn't know One Piece, and for the executives on Netflix to really say, okay, this can be done, so can we do the more wacky stuff later? Because in the Grand Line it's way more present, and
I get what you're saying.
They will do it 100%.
Is that like the East Blue is meant to seem a little bit more normal, a little bit more grounded, and as far as the season 1 of like a Netflix adaptation goes, it was more meant as a pitch, like as something to get this off of the ground. And now that we have the ball rolling, we can start to get into, especially because we're entering the Grand Line, into a lot more of the absurd sides of One Piece, because that's what the Grand Line is all about. And especially by the time we get to a Sky Island, I think it'd be good for the goofiness to be a little bit more introduced. You know what I mean? So I definitely see what you're saying, is they didn't know if it was a smart call introducing it all into season 1, simply because like it's smart to play it a little bit safe until you can know that things are well received, and making East Blue a little bit more real, a little bit more believable, having that like level of verisimilitude is good for the introduction to a story, and that's going to make the Grand Line seem that much bigger, because it's like, oh, the training wheels are off, now we're getting kooky with it, you know, now's where the real absurd stuff comes out. So I like that. I like that a lot.
It's like the same problem I have with Twilight, for example. It's like, okay, vampires in school, and then suddenly they can glitter in the sunlight and stuff. It's just way over the top from the beginning, and starting it slow to get the people convinced on the story itself, to gain more and more weirdness, or more own story in there, or more world building in there, and it fits for the East Blue and the Grand Line as well. So
you're saying that season 2 needs to have more shirtless Jacobs on it? I'm just kidding.
Oh my goodness. Are we gonna get the nose? Are we actually gonna get the Usopp nose now that no, I'm kidding. But that is crazy.
I'm just thinking, how did they do Whole Cake, man? Like,
I really
stuff like that keeps me up at night.
Okay, but you've seen the Alice movies, right? It's totally doable.
Yeah. I don't know if they're gonna go that far. I think I would be fine with just the pre-time skip.
And they will hire Tim Burton to do the Thriller Bark season.
Let's go.
Because then you're talking about, you know, Marineford or Whole Cake, right? Well, just think of Oars and Thriller Bark. The design on Oars has to be impeccable, because, you know, they can't miss Oars.
Well, we can't really scope on how well they'll do until we see Dorian Brogy first. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, I'm pretty excited to see how the Giants are handled. But like, because I mean, it's been done before. Like, I mean, like, and I keep mentioning Gulliver's Travels and stuff like that, but like, but their proportions are a little bit different as well. So there has to be a little bit more movie magic than just like upscaling certain like shots and things like that and like splicing it. Like, there's a lot more finesse to it to make it seem right, because it's not just like that they're giant. Their proportions are a lot different as well, the way that Oda draws them. But we'll see how they handle that. Yeah,
also, I would really love a little bit of Jurassic Park reference in the drum in Little Garden. Like,
Little Garden.
they're talking about, yeah, we're going to the island, and then a T-Rex appears like in Jurassic Park or something like that.
Yeah.
And then
but do you think that there's, because we know of the later significance with Sanji's eyebrow, especially since we were talking about it in 1107 discussion, like, do you think that there is like a bit of plot development around that, and now that the wheels are off and the pitch is sold and this thing is off the ground, that might be something that's introduced later on?
So I think we see, so the first time Sanji gets quote unquote weird was during Enies lobby, and then they said, hey, why is your leg on fire? That is normal and stuff. I really could see Sanji going into fighting mode and getting, during fighting mode, the weird eyebrow. So it would be a reference to his really out there power, you know what I mean? So
yeah, and I think it's
so
on
he doesn't
par
have to make the makeup all the time. Yeah,
it's on par with them kind of forecasting some future events and reveals and things like that in the live action, like that we only know way further down the line in the panels. Also, what's up? Welcome back to the cooks, the cook off, Dill. We're talking still about the live action.
The pickle of the last arc.
Oh my god.
Yo, I have returned.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like
speaking of cook off.
as far as like Usopp's nose and Sanji's eyebrow, like, because we were just saying, it's like for season 1 they just want to get this off the ground. They want to play it safe, and they want to like is there like any I know that like with the Sanji's eyebrow thing, it could make sense, but is there any chance that we potentially see Usopp's nose growing the more lies he tells?
I think we will see Usopp's nose in one scene, and as a reference beforehand, we already see Usopp nose choke, but in universe fitting with him drawing the Jolly Roger of him for himself on the Going Merry. While they decided what flag they want, and his Jolly Roger was 1-to-1 like in the manga, but his nose was short. That was a reference to his long nose without having a long nose, and I love that. And I definitely could see them doing Bon Clay when he uses his power to make the funniest face ever, and it's just him with Usopp's nose. So they could make his face again, but with a long nose, and just make that as a joke. Because the long nose,
I can see like I can definitely see scenes where like someone's like slamming down an axe in front of his face, and because he's got a normal sized nose, you know, it doesn't put it off. Like, so
that's hilarious.
I mean, I think that there's gonna be something like that, because, well, we've seen Sanji how he looks like, but the first time he saw Nami, his hair was hiding his eyebrows, and he was flirting with her, and she responds as, "What's up with your eyebrow?" So I do think that maybe later on they're gonna introduce like the nose and the eyebrow in a particular way, because that was interesting that Nami said that, and we couldn't see the eyebrow at all. Like, they could be like, for an instant, his eyebrow did a weird movement, not realizing it.
I mean, currently he has normal eyebrows, right?
Yeah,
in the live action, but I could see it kind of curling along the way as like he gets closer to his like Diablo Jambe awakening, like Desna said at Enies lobby. It'd be interesting. And then so Zingy1914 in the chat mentioned Sniper King mask should have the nose.
Yes.
And absolutely, once we get there, that'll be the biggest reference. Like, once we get there, I don't know what that has to do with Usopp,
that's got
though.
Nothing to do with. Let's get back to the point.
That is hilarious. But
that Soga King mask would be perfect. Like,
I can't wait for
I
that.
honestly thought the Sniper King, Soga King was Van Ogre.
Also, with the live action including recent manga things, I could also see them including other Vivi family members in there as a hint.
Oh yeah, because we never got to see.
Whoa.
So like
we could see a family tree where the name is written or something like that, or
yeah,
in a carved in a wall or something like that. And we see our first pornoglyph in live action as well.
Sorry, Rosie says hi, y'all. I don't know if y'all heard that. Y'all probably heard that.
Oh, hey, Rosie.
Yeah.
Ciao. Yeah, I think like the poneglyph's going to be absolutely massive as well. Like they're going to have this big chunky poneglyph. It's going to look sick.
Yo, but the real question is, do we see Panda Man in season 2 of the live action?
So can somebody tell me when Panda Man first appeared? Because I know he wasn't in the beginning.
In the panels, I believe it's
Alabasta.
Baratier in the panels, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's also in Alabasta at the same time as the fight. You see him at one point apparently.
Yeah, there's a few instances.
Panda Man was in the live action actually. In the scene where they. I know my stuff, okay? In the scene where they look through the book of Noland in season 1, and yeah, they did that. You can spot a Panda Man in there.
Yeah, but I mean, how many
Panda
more
Man
Panda
was in
Mans are
season
we
1.
gonna get? Like, are we just gonna get one a season, or is there like, because like you mentioned that they do about 15 chapters per episode, and there are some Panda Man occurrences that are like within the whole. I think it'd be really cool if they tried to sneak him in as much as possible, or maybe even like once an episode, since we are potentially getting a little bit
Wild.
more kooky with it. You know what I mean?
I think it could be that they even had because they said they had many more references in the scene with Roger's execution. Maybe there was a Panda Man in there as well, but they didn't want to frighten off new viewers that they're watching an execution and suddenly a Panda Man is in the crowd.
Wait, what is that?
Yeah, it's like it's so funny because it's like
so maybe they will include it in season 2 when we see the flashback fully of
episode 16 in the anime is his first appearance, right? So it would make sense to sort of fire it in the second season of.
I think it'd be so funny if because like in whenever I was first getting into Jujutsu Kaisen when season 1 was airing and stuff like that, I didn't know anything about this manga. So watching the show, I see the opening sequence and there's just a panda doing parkour on top of like building tops and stuff like that, and I'm like, what is this show about? So I definitely understand what you mean. Like maybe they don't want to scare people off at first because at first with JJK I was like, hold on, what? But now that we're, like pretty established and this has gone viral, this is a success and things like that. Like, I think that it would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, the most interesting thing that I got from all the reactions that I watched nearly every reaction out there for the first episodes of the One Piece live action. But the best things I got from there, the best ideas of it was everyone. The show is so realistic at the beginning that everyone gets totally surprised when Luffy can stretch all of a sudden. That's a totally surprise for everybody. So they really kept the whole seriousness in the beginning as much as they needed to make this a surprise. That's really a great thing. And would be Panda Man in there, he would break the idea, I think. And secondly, I found it funny that everybody who saw the live action fully, every 8 episodes, then watching some pictures or openings or scenes from One Piece, and in every reaction after they see the live action, they always say, "Who's that guy with the long nose?" It's so funny to me.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Nobody recognizes it. Yeah. And
So as far as other confirmed Yeah, as far as other confirmations that we have so far, because I don't really keep my ear too much to the ground, but I know you absolutely do, Destinus. So we don't necessarily know how long it will run, but we're hoping for 10 to 12 instead of another 8-episode season. Do we? I know casting location. Taz had said that they are headed back to South Africa, right? Do we know if they're doing any other locations as well, since there is like desert scenes, like a lot of them in Alabasta, or are they going to film the entire thing there? Do we have confirmation of that?
So Africa is where they're filming all the sea scenes. So everything you see on sea on the Mary is filmed in Africa, and we got Loketown in Italy, or was it Spain? I'm so bad at this. But and we got the Windmill Island. We got that things in Africa as well, because they already had a scenery of a pirate island from the other show they did there. So I guess they will keep on going with the water scenes filming in Africa, but location wise for the other scenes like Alabasta, it would make sense to film them in locations that already look like that or already referenced it a lot.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was any confirmation on it.
They have to also be careful though to avoid too real, because you don't want people thinking it is set in Egypt. You know, you want people thinking it's set in Alabasta.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's interesting because like we still really don't have too much to go off of other than like the fact that we've had such a long conversation about this all. Like, do we have any casting confirmations as far as new characters, not like any returning characters?
Kinda. We already have kinda Ace, because Inaki hangs out with this guy from Cobra Kai a lot. He even appeared on his podcast and on other things with him. He went with him to New York and stuff. They're really giving off Ace and Luffy vibes. So I think the guy from Cobra Kai will be Ace. And we got the nearly confirmed Robin as well. Let me look up the names. I should have them on my drive.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of the buzz, but I know there wasn't like actual confirmation though. It's just like we're all pretty sure of it, right?
We know one confirmation that's 100% locked in, and that's Jamie Lee Curtis as Kuriha.
Is that 100%?
Yeah, they already wrote forth and back. Yeah, definitely.
That's interesting. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty hype, but we did a stream about like predictions and things like that of who we would cast and stuff like that a long time ago, whenever the right after like the first season came out for the live action. Do you have any predictions yourself about who would be cast for some of the other roles, like big roles like Crocodile, Wapple, if we do get like Blackbeard or anything like that? Do you know if there's like any buzz around the community? I'm sorry to put you on the spot. I don't know much. I don't really keep too many tabs on it, so I don't know if there was like anything else going around other than the Ace and Robin stuff.
I would so I don't have specific names for the characters in season 2, because I really want to have small actors that are not really known well right now, so they can grow with the project and stuff. I really could see a Kid as Chopper, and in his different forms he's just spoken by other people or his voice is changed or something like that, because a Kid would... Because when they go on all these shows and all these promos things, it would be nice to have a crew member that already is a stand-in for Chopper, and the child would be the best way to have someone that actually represents Chopper, and he could just voice this CGI character. And other than that, I really would love to see faces that I didn't saw already. Other than that, of course, I want like Jack Black as Blackbeard, or I want the guy who played Homelander to play Doflamingo, or I would really like to see what was the other one that was really funny. I don't have the pictures right now, sadly, but I picked out some that were really on point, like Mr. Bean for something like the Wax Guy or something. Really funny things like.
Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I definitely would be concerned with like like Den brought up earlier with the aging thing. Like if they don't do CGI, it would be really weird if they did cast a child for Chopper. Like voice acting, I can understand it a little more, but that's like one reason why I'm leaning towards they'll probably do CGI for Chopper, because the kid will grow up much faster than some of these people who are already young adults or adults, you know. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Cube.
No, I was gonna say I was just thinking of yeah, it's I don't know if age-wise it would work just because of personality. I just thought of Mr. Chu. If we take an A-list actor, Jim Carrey, so like personality-wise, he would be able to do Mr. Chu. Bon Clay.
That'd be
Let's be real. Jim Carrey would be able to impersonate any One Piece character.
Also, I want Greg Davies as Whitebeard, and you know the guy that plays like the tech guy in let me post that. It's one moment. Where's the server? Here's the server. There's one guy that always plays the guy behind the counter, essentially. That would be perfect for something like Caesar. Maddie Cadaropol, is that the name? Yeah, or like this one I really would like. Greg Davies as Whitebeard, or even Mark Hamill as Crocus.
Oh man, that would be insane.
What I could definitely see would be Anthony Starr as Doflamingo. That is really my big wish. I never seen a person so menacing like him. It's crazy. And the actor even says he doesn't even try it. It's his normal face. So it's so funny.
That's crazy. Yeah. Oh man, yeah, that's some interesting castings. I actually like a lot of that. Like Mark Hamill is such a good pull too. Like one of my favorites.
Yeah. Him in every project would be awesome. Yeah, I totally agree. Jack Black would work as Warpole as well. And of course, Whoopi Goldberg as Miss Merry Christmas. Yeah.
Whoopi is a fan also, apparently, so that's also potentially on the table, so that's crazy. I know that whatever they do, they have to nail like the VV casting, and I haven't really seen any buzz around that. But that and Crocodile obviously are going to be two like really crazy things, and I know they're probably going to play their cards as close to the chest as they can until like we get like a full casting reveal, right? But because like there's already been so much of a buzz about Robin and Ace, but we haven't really seen much from anybody else, right? Well, and Correa,
It's pretty impressive that they've kept it down.
Before the trailer dropped, they made a big fuss about each actor, so they will be announcing them step by step, because it always get a little bit of peak into the hype. So I think they will do it the same way next.
Sounds very weak as a casting, but you could take any of the Dagestan UFC fighters from Mr. I'm sure one of them would fit the bill. Like, and because Mr. One was a different level. Yeah, could be playing as. I mean, he has the hustle for being Mr. One, because Mr. One fight.
It's all about Danny DeVito for Chopper. I'm telling you, man. Like that's the angle.
Nah, man.
Oh yeah,
eating food and stuff like.
It's crazy. I think that if like the thing that we commonly see as far as voice acting situations in like animation, especially anime, like with Japanese voice acting and things like that, is that for somebody who is supposed to have like a childlike voice, they would normally get like a female voice actor who, like, because like that's the thing is, like, if we're going to be spending like 6+ years, 8+ years, maybe 10 years filming the next couple of these seasons, Chopper needs to sound the same. And if they go through like a, you know, like a transformation with their voice, it would definitely affect the production quality or consistency, you know, and continuity of it all. So there is a chance that it's probably not a kid that gets cast for Chopper's voice acting if they go full CG, and it's actually going to be like I think it'd be really interesting if they got like the actual English VA and Japanese VA like they did with the Japanese like subbing for the season 1. They got the actual Japanese voice actors. I think it would be really cool if they actually got the English voice actor to dub Chopper, right?
Hype.
So
I mean, it just
would
kind of makes
think
sense.
it
I think.
wouldn't- I think it would be a change, but in my opinion, it wouldn't make too much of a change if we have a kid that grows into the role. Because I really think the way of they are portraying the Straw Hats right now. Right now, if you see clips of them, they fit perfectly for the Straw Hats. If you get a kid that is very shy, but can be very smart and loves to be around people that are funny, that would be essentially a kid that represents Chopper the best. And if we see that kid grew up with the Straw Hats, with the other actors, that would be a good thing to represent Chopper as a person, you know what I mean? And I don't think it's that much of a problem if that kid grows up faster than Chopper in the story, because Chopper is already a reindeer, and a reindeer ages way more than a human, so you could say that it's like that, you know what I mean?
I did think that, but I think like that might tie into the story somehow, because like the whole, yeah, like you say, reindeers, they don't usually last past 14. I think max is 17.
How old is Chopper?
He's 16.
Yeah,
I think he's
yeah,
16
in his
post time
last
skip.
couple reindeer years. Yeah,
15
yeah.
plus 2, yeah, 17 now. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
1 year
crazy.
old.
Oh my goodness. No.
Let's
That's
hope they don't
wild.
get rid of devil fruits in that case.
If only they didn't interrupt Kureha when she was talking about the secret to indefinite youth, you know, like
It's true. That's so true.
bruh.
Which is a crazy thing to think about, because wouldn't she have offhandedly mentioned it to Chopper at some point?
Chopper's got the chemistry to sort his age out. Don't worry about that. Like,
I mean, he could know, and that he's because think about it. He might not know the full scope of it, but he might understand.
Exactly.
If someone asks a certain question, he could answer to some extent to what Kureha told him. But
Yeah.
like,
he doesn't do it because no one questions
let
it.
me ask you
No one
this.
asks
Let me ask you
questions.
this: Is Chopper going to be a better doctor than Kureha by the end of the story?
Oh,
Absolutely.
1000%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Zero doubt in my mind.
Zero doubt.
And I mean,
Let's
we
go.
have pictures of Chopper in old already, so...
Yeah.
We got
I was gonna
Baby
say-
Teaser, Chopper, and Wano.
But Dill, you're not
Also
wrong,
that, yeah,
because
yeah.
it could be a Robin situation. Unless you ask Chopper about it, maybe he won't even talk about it because it's not, that
Yeah.
relevant.
Somebody brought it up the other day.
Because with how much that Kureha was trying to tell the main Straw Hats whenever they were at Drum Island, you would think she would just be casually talking about it, that Chopper would have knowledge.
Yeah, but
That's just what came into my head.
somebody brought it up in the One Piece University. Shout out to OPU. We love them. Big friends of the channel. But somebody brought it up when I was watching their stream on Thursday night, that it's like, oh no, you can't talk about the plot because then you get unalived. So that's like why Robin keeps her mouth shut, and that's why they didn't specifically like Chopper doesn't blab about it and things like that, and all these other things happen so casually, is because you can't talk about the plot. That's when you get unalived, so they just keep it close to their chest.
And also, Chopper doesn't brag. Think about that. The first time he met the Straw Hats, they were so shocked how good he was as a doctor, and he looked at it like it was no big deal.
Bro starts
Doesn't
blushing.
have like that same ego that. Yeah, just judge.
Swap the
Judge is the
rumble
one
for
with the
humble
biggest
balls.
ego.
But I think that plays into the whole relationship with Kureha, because she always was like the grumpy person and not giving compliments and stuff. I really think it's like the Sanji situation that
Oh yeah,
you can't really, yeah.
their traits are a product of the environment they grew up in. I really like that, and that's consistent. That's consistent writing, honestly. So I like that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that the live action did very well. Like, for example, I only realized with the live action that why Sanji's always fighting with Zoro. It's because in his days at the Barati, they also only showed their love for each other in fighting with each other, and that's why he fights with Zoro in Windwards and in actual fights, because he learned from the Barati and from Seth that fighting each other can mean that we care for each other as well. So, you know what I mean.
Typical Quina for Zoro. He only talked with Quina after their fights as well.
Yeah.
So do you think that's an interesting thing to bring up as well, is because Kuina and Tashigi obviously have like a similarities in so many ways. Do you think that they will pull from that as well once they do introduce Tashigi?
I found the solution already.
Let's go. Let me hear it.
I looked up. We joked about, does the actor have a sister? Maybe that's also an actor. That's the thing. She has an older sister that's also an actor.
No way. So that's basically like a loose confirmation of who Tashigi will be, right? Like that's crazy. I love that though. Like that's very clever of the you know, like
yeah.
Wow. But yeah, does anybody else have any questions on the One Piece season
that was
2
my question on Opla live action?
Yeah.
You already asked it, the Queen one.
Yeah, I know that's your girl, and Kureha. This is gonna be a big season for you, right? Like,
it's I can't even think about it yet. Too excited.
I mean, you get a Oscar winner as Kureha. It will be great. Yeah.
Oh yeah. See, I think we should look forward to the chopper that Oda drew for us for the live action.
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
The teaser.
Oh, I dropped it in the stream chat, but Oda drew a live action chopper.
Oh god! Oh man, that is insane. I didn't know that was actually an Oda drawing. I thought that was just a meme.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, yeah, 1000% it was Oda. I think someone
the same thing in this case.
fan colored it, but I'm pretty sure that the drawing is 1000% him.
That's crazy. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I'm very hype. I know that the filming does typically take some time, but like you said, they probably did do the smart thing, and they have leftover footage from the 2 episodes they thought they would have before it was cut to 8, and so Logtown could very well potentially already be done before they even get to on-site filming. And so it's really interesting to know that this could be happening a lot sooner than we're thinking, because if they did what you were saying Randy was talking about before he hit the writer's room officially, was like in attempts to preserve the age of the actors for those flashback scenes, as well as to cut down on the time it would take to film things, and maximize on like the amount of time that they had like on location and whatnot. It's just it seems like a very smart thing to do. So maybe filming won't take that long and we get this a lot sooner than we were anticipating. I'm really anxious to see it. I can't wait. And there was so many fans that got into One Piece through the live action that are just kind of waited with bated breath, like for season 2, so they can know what goes on. Some of them picked up the anime and the manga and things like that, and some of them are staying live action only. And this could potentially provide some hints and spoilers and foreshadowings that are a little bit earlier on than we were anticipating. So I really do hope that we see Blackbeard in like the credits scene as my one major like want, and like from here. If we can go around real quick and like, you know, if you guys all want to say like one thing that you really, really, really want that from the live action season 2, and then we can kind of go up and close up because we're approaching the 3-hour point of the stream. But is there anything that you like we've talked about a lot, and like mine is specifically, I really do want Blackbeard in like the little post credit bit. Is there anything that you absolutely want that you're not really sure that we'll get from season 2?
I've said it before and I'll say it again, the inside Laboon.
Let's go. Yeah, that's gonna be sick. I hope they do the Crocus like stare down gag, because that was hilarious.
So I was picturing that earlier. Whenever you said that Mark Hamill was rumored to be Crocus, I was like, oh, that would be so hilarious. Just watching him. Someone might die. Yeah, who would that be? Me.
That's even better. You're right.
Oh man.
Oh man.
One scene I'm probably looking forward to the most is if we get Whiskey Peak. I want to see them flesh out the Zoro and Luffy fight so much more, because when we got it, it was at a point in time in which hockey wasn't there. I'm a firm believer in the fact that that was the early signs of Luffy and Zoro both using like hockey, like in its full, not like obviously not controlled or sustained use, but like unconscious. Their wills were just clashing.
Interesting. Again, I'm really not sure. I'm not fully sold that we're gonna get Whiskey Peak. You know, but like
oh wow.
About to with my devil fruit, boy.
Oh my god. But that wouldn't even work for the stream. Y'all wouldn't be able to hear me, but they would. Yeah. So I mean, it doesn't even matter. But what about you, Kube? Is there any one thing that you're specifically hoping for or looking forward to the most out of One Piece live action season 2 up and coming?
That's it. There's so much that we spit about, but there's one thing no one talked about, and I want that scene to be done the same way it was done in the anime and in the manga. Perfect. The Smoker and Ace clash with the Devil Fruits.
Let's go.
As long there'll always be, as long as there's smoke, there'll always be fire.
Yeah, this is the Logia season, because not only do we have like Ace Smoker, but also Crocodile. Like this is gonna be huge as far as establishing Logias, and the CG can be really, really good. Like we've seen even as far back as like Spider-Man 2 that like, you know, the sand effects can be really, that still holds up to this day in my opinion. So I think it's really interesting how that'll play out. That's a really good call out. I also, for honorable mention to the cowboy hat, I need that cowboy hat. You know what I mean? Like Miss All Sunday got a hit, bro.
I have a quick question before we divert to the rest of them real quick. Do we think we're gonna get Panaro Island in season 2?
I don't think we'll get that in season 2. I think that'll be like, so I think they'll hint at things for Blackbeard like heavily, because he's mentioned in Drum Kingdom, he's mentioned in Alabasta, and I hope that it's like the post-credit scene like how we barely got Smoker in the last 5 seconds of the live action season 1. I think we'll barely get Blackbeard. I don't think we're gonna get like the full Banaro Island sequence, but I think that'll be like how they hype up season 3. I was talking on it earlier before you came back, Dill.
Yeah.
But
I think that would be how they would bring back like the opening for season 3, have the narrator covering over it like it was in the manga.
It'd be interesting for sure. And then Desness, if you had one specific standout want something that you are definitely looking forward to or hoping for more than anything else out of season 2, what would it be?
Yeah. There are 3 approaches to this. First, my personal one would be the execution, because that was always my favorite in Logtown and in East Blue in general, and I really missed this scene the first season. The second take would be the Vivi scene in the end will make the X tattoos grow worldwide, and everybody will have an X on their arm.
Let's go.
And a third one that is always my funny take, and I love to highlight the funny moments. I would love the scene with the hiking bear in Drum Island, where they pass the hiking bear and they say, "You must bow to him," and then they bow to him, and then they walk again, and then there's this big woman and Usopp starting bowing to her.
That's crazy.
That's a hiking bear. Yeah,
that's hilarious. Oh man.
So we need Luffy with the Lupin helping it. Or Laupin.
Lapan, I think, right?
However you say it. Helping out the baby one by saving the bigger one
rabbits.
from the avalanche.
Yeah, that's something I didn't even think about whenever we were talking about casting locations. Is like, wasn't Drum Island specifically based off of a place in Canada, like an actual real life location? You think
the Rockies? I mean,
not the like. There's literally one town specifically that like Drum Kingdom was supposedly based off of. We've looked it up. Like I've talked to you about it before, Den. I just don't remember the name of it. But it'd be interesting if they went there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if they went there to film as well. But before we get off on too many more tangents, I just wanted to, give a major shout out to everybody in the chat who stuck around. Make sure that you like the stream if you're watching this now live, or if you are watching this in the future. We really appreciate it. It means a lot. Hit the links in the description. I've got Desnus's entire link tree, a link to his server. We've got Junk Records and the Opla archive, as well as his TikToks and things plugged. So make sure you go show some love for our wonderful guest. It has been so wonderful having you. I'm gonna give you your time to shine and plug anything that you might have up and coming and things like that, and then we'll go ahead and close it out.
Oh yeah, thank you. So it's a great time every time when I'm here. I love the TLA, and yeah, for future projects and stuff, there are many things planned. But the thing I want to highlight today is that there is a podcast coming soon, and I may go more into details than others about the live action, so we can talk about the details in the future even more with the comparison to the manga and stuff. And yeah, podcast is already in the works.
Nice.
Yeah, that sounds exciting.
Hype. And then Den, you got anything you want to shout out for the folks?
Just make sure to check out Desnas. Obviously, you already know what it is on Den and Kushi. There's like 3 videos dropping over the next week. Just keep it locked in, I guess, and support small creators and Vex.
Let's go.
Support Vex.
Thank you, bro. And then Cube, you got anything you wanted to shout out?
So guys, check out TLA for our streams on Saturdays, on Wednesday, channels on Friday. And also check out the TikTok of our captain, Starhat Lucas. He couldn't be here, but I gotta plug him anyways. And it was a great talk. I'm so happy that Desnus, you were on it. It's always good to talk to you on VC. It's good to be able to talk to you in public. That's cool.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah,
also I want to say one thing more. Merch Hunter Ricky has birthday today. It's like over for me in Germany, but Merch Hunter Ricky has his birthday today.
Yo, congratulations on him. Yeah, congratulations on him closing with the house. And I from what I heard, the move was going pretty well with him. But yeah, major happy birthday to him. That's a friend of the channel. We love Merch Hunter here. I also wanted to say, while Cube was plugging Lucas's TikTok, last I checked, he is 68 followers away from hitting his goal. And when we hit that goal, it will be the bikini stream. The 2-piece is real, y'all.
Hit Lucas's goal for sure.
Yeah. Dill, you already had the chance to plug stuff earlier, so I'm gonna just skip right over you, brother. No, I'm sorry, but I'm just gonna kind of reiterate.
Let me say group 2 solos.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to reiterate what you were saying. If you guys wanted to check out any of the One Piece D&D like TLA groups, make sure you hit the link in the description and join our server. It's popping in there pretty much daily in the theory section and in Punk Records. And we've got a lot of other like good culture like channels. If you wanted to talk about movies, music, TV, and the live action, even we've got like a ton of stuff, even TCG, which I was wanting to talk to you about Desness today, but we were just cooking so hard on so many other things, and it was just such a fun conversation. So we'll have to bring you back on soon and talk about that, because OPO 6 is dropped and dropping soon, right? And then like OPO 7 spoilers have been crazy too.
Yeah, we should play TCG and talk about TCG as well.
Hey, I'm down. I haven't played on the sim in a minute, but I am absolutely down. But yeah, if you guys wanted to check out any of that wonderful stuff, make sure you join the TLA Discord. You can check out my channel if you want to catch up with the Scarlet Pirates, and make sure you support all of our wonderful crew members. Links in the description. Make sure you support Desness. Again, links in the description, and make sure that you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Y'all have been fantastic, and we have been TLA. And with that, we're going to go ahead and call it.